My sister, I went to bed with her, and I had to pay her $10,000 if I got on the board. Anything higher, I couldn't do president or vice president.
What about
Well,
ECC?
secretary's open.
State secretary's on.
ECC.
Juan, you want to go for president?
For sure.
Do you really?
I'm so good at the one I do now. It only makes sense that I do that too.
Okay, so let's call the meeting to order a little late, 6:50. Okay. All right, the minutes from the October meeting. Barbara, are you still reading?
No, I just finished.
Okay. Mr. Litz, do you have a copy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll get to it in a minute.
Okay. Lauren, do you have it? What'd you do? The minutes? That's the agenda.
Oh, here they are, right here. Here's the.
Agenda's all I need.
You don't need it. You don't need the minutes?
No.
Just the agenda? Okay.
Sandy, when I was there.
I can spell it, that's for sure.
Okay. Okay. We didn't have anything we needed to go over for the executive meeting. Officers have their email accounts. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from October?
Motion to approve minutes.
Can I get a second? All in favor, say aye.
Either.
Favor? All opposed? The motion passed. Okay, I don't know why I did that twice. Okay. The open positions to fill are still president and secretary. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to get on board?
I don't have time unless somebody wants to do my bathroom.
I'm sorry.
I'm remodeling my bathroom.
She took a sledgehammer to her bathroom.
Do you have a bad day or something?
I just was tired of it, so I sledgehammered it. It's gone. So now I gotta put it back in.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
No, there's people that do that. There's people that do it for you.
Who can afford people to do that
Juan's cousin.
I will say that till I get in the middle of it, and then it's like, oh, hell no.
for? I'm sure, well, yeah, I'm sure that's what I'll do, because it'll be like, I'll be down on my hands and knees doing tile, and then I'll go, I'm gonna call, and if it's this amount or less, I'm gonna have to finish it.
Okay, we'll get those two posted on Facebook page. Did you see that the Civic League has a Facebook page now? Lake Shadow Civic League.
Yeah, I could, yeah,
Okay, so
I
we'll,
liked it, so I got it in there.
thank you very much. So we'll put that on there, so that everybody knows that we still need to fill those two positions.
Do you want me to put it on the sign too?
Yes, that would be awesome. If we would get the sign to work properly.
It's working now.
Is it
I mean,
working?
but what I think what I have to do is I have to send it twice while I'm down there. Because that's what, every time I would send it just once, it wouldn't pop up. But if I would stand there and send it twice for some reason, it
It'll
pops
start
up.
clicking.
Yeah. How long do you want me to run it for?
Can we do more than one thing on the board? Can we do like president, secretary, open seat, and then have it flip to another? You know how the like
I'm
sign
sure you
changes?
can, but nobody knows how to do that, so.
Drive slow.
Yeah.
Well, we can play with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with all that stuff, not necessarily that particular one, but I did go to school.
Yeah.
If y'all can meet and see if y'all can figure out how to flip it so that we can put something,
Multiple things.
please slow down for buses or,
Or
happy
garages.
Thanksgiving. Our
Yeah,
garages, that's another one too.
Those are my
Watch out for
favorite.
garages,
Yeah.
or, happy Thanksgiving or something.
Yeah.
Please brake, know where your brakes and your gas pedals are.
Good.
Thursday, Friday, I'll be back, kind of working around Crosby, so.
Okay. I think I'm available Thursday.
Okay. Financial report.
CD number 1 is 40,000. Maintenance account is $30,061.19. Prepaid account is $9,390.91. Money market is $11,890.96. Petty cash is $444.42 with a total of $91,787.48.
I just have a quick question.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I think I already know the answer. So did the settlement get charged to professional fees? Is that why it's so much?
Are you on the budget?
Yes, ma'am.
Down at the bottom, it's like 5 or 6, 7, 8.
73,000.
You got it today, don't you?
What's that?
I think
Oh,
so.
I got that.
Stay warm.
Oh,
Down at the bottom, Laura.
You make a good joke.
Thank you.
That's about all I'm good for, no more, and I ain't good for that.
Just a
I think it
suggestion.
was.
I mean, it's gotta be, because I don't see it anywhere else.
Yeah.
But you know, just a suggestion, you might want to put that in a different category, because what happens is when you have boards changing every year, then instead of it being clear, they'll have to go back and research, because they'll go, why does this have legal fees? So-
I
You mean for like budgeting?
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, okay,
I thought that was.
yeah, so I mean, you can just make a new item and put it under,
It should.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it won't
I
change, it'll just
think it
be,
is mine, I thought it was.
yeah, it'll just recategorize it, so later, it's, you know, because sometimes you'll go and you go, why was that so high in this year? And you go back and research, and it's like, why did they put it in there? Why did
Yeah,
it
okay.
make sense?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, because no, it didn't, capital expenditures doesn't, it didn't go underneath there.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that's what it is.
Okay.
That would make sense.
Yes, we will definitely, we will check on that. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the financial report?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Motion second.
All in favor?
Uh,
All opposed? Okay, motion passed. Okay, ACC report?
No approvals, for this past month, but I do have some applications for fence and sidewalk, also for a new house. And, email, somebody that I put in an application to do a second driveway. So when I said last time, they didn't turn in the plot plan or anything, I still need stuff, and they emailed, so they did it already. Just cashed their check.
Okay. And we looked back and everything was, the Harris County permit was on their property, so everything that they did was within the restrictions. Yeah.
So yeah, we just, I have to check it. Cash.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve ACC report?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion passed. De-restriction committee.
Mine's not here, but,
We did the,
okay, there was, 6 letters sent out, 4 were certified, and 2 was regular mail.
Okay. And I think 1 or 2 of those, actually, I know of 3 of them, 2 of those that have already been taken care of.
Right.
So,
Yes.
cool. Can I get a motion to approve the restriction report? Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. The only topic of the meeting. Increased maintenance fees. So I did email Jason, the neighborhood attorney, let him know what we wanted to try to do. He went through all the deed restrictions. We've been emailing back and forth all day today. If we decide to go forward and try to increase maintenance fees, what we would do is we would send out a ballot with November's invoicing for maintenance fees for 2019. And on that ballot, it will have what we propose to increase ma'am? No, the ballots will go out with the 2019 invoices. But it'll be for the proposed increase. And the other thing that I want to put on there is to change the time limit to change deed restrictions from 10 years to something else. Because we can do a amendment to the deed restrictions, we do not have to renew them entirely by 2020. So we can go through and we can propose to change
just certain.
just certain things that are needed. the maintenance fees, and then so that we don't have to wait 10 years to redo deed restrictions. So we can propose to change those two things. I mean, there's a lot of things obviously that need to be changed, but this will give us, if we can't get it done and approved by January 2020, or within that year, to change all the deed restrictions and update them, at least we've got an approval if the neighborhood says yes, to go ahead and change that and file it the first of the year so that the maintenance fees will change and the deed restrictions can be updated sooner, instead of having to wait 10 years. And we would file those. We don't have to refile full deed restrictions. We can file an amendment to the deed restrictions. So basically, it'll be just those two things that'll go on the ballot. So the two things that we've got to decide on is what we would change the maintenance fees to, and then how often we would change the deed restrictions to be updated. So my suggestion, after looking, I've been working on this for 4 days solid, and that's from the times I was supposed to be working to the time I'm not. Looking at the deed restrictions, from 4 mills, 8 mills, $100 a lot, $75 a lot. I've talked to Newport, Deer Run, Indian Shores, Spanish Cove, Saddle Creek. There's another name. The Commons, thank you. All of them are on flat fees. Spanish Cove, the Commons, and Saddle Creek are not cookie cutter neighborhoods, so their lots are not the same size, and they do flat fees. Now, granted, they're doing like $750. Well, Spanish Cove is still at $65 a lot. And their lots are 3 acre big. They go from a half acre to 5 acres. That's how big in Spanish Cove that you can do. But it's still $65 a lot.
They don't have much of a benefit.
I was gonna say, I like to know what their budget is and what they spend it on, because when you drive through there, they don't look like they have, I've only been there a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Now, I have a friend that's on their board, and they are working to increase theirs. And they're doing the same thing we are. They're going to the immediate neighborhoods. And because she called me asking how much our deed restriction, our maintenance fees are. And I went, oh, we're trying to update them. And that's what they're doing, is they're calling the same neighborhoods to find out that aren't cookie cutter, what they're charging. Now, I did find out Deer Run what's going on with their neighborhood. So they pay $550 a year. They have no money left over. Now, that neighborhood did take a lot, set it aside. It's very small, like for like a playground or something like that, for them to be able to build amenities next to their lake over there. They use a management company. And I think after they pay their management company for that year and everything else that goes into it, they have like $2,500 left over. So
It's expensive to
they
get the
can't,
management.
yeah.
That's why most subdivisions have such high rates, because
Yeah.
they can't get people to volunteer to do it, and the only way to keep your neighborhood nice is to pay somebody else.
Pay somebody else to do it. So, I went through every single person. So we have 926 lots. We have 578 property owners is what we have. And I went through every single lot, every single one of them, figured out they're $8 per square foot, they're $100 per lot, they're $75 per lot. And we kicked around some other ideas. Whenever we did 4 mils per square foot, we were invoicing $40,000 a year. It doesn't say we were bringing that in. It was $40,000. And then whenever it was 8 mils per square foot, we were bringing in $80,000 is the invoice. So I did $75 a lot just to get an idea, and that's $71,000 that would bring in for a year. My issue with that is that's bringing in less than 8 mils per square foot. I don't think anybody had a problem with 8 mils per square foot.
Just the way that it's.
People didn't agree with the way it was done. If we were to change it, I think changing it going less than what the 8 mils per square foot I don't think that's a great idea.
Did you happen to break down, because I know some lots are around 8,000 square feet, did you happen to break down like how many lots we have at this average square foot and how many we have? Because the smaller lots were paying about $41.
Yes.
So if they go to 100, they're gonna be upset.
Well-
Me, I'm gonna pay less, so I'm like.
Well, so this is what I did. So, because there were people, because like Patsy at the last meeting had said, she pulled the majority of of our lots. And, these 3 people's are gonna go up, these 3 people are gonna go down.
Well, my opinion about it, does them people with the small lots use the park or the pool any less with the people with the big lots?
So, the majority, so,
Well, I'm not saying that
No,
I
I'm just
disagree,
saying.
I'm just saying that that's what's gonna happen is if,
Well-
I would be interested if you have 100 people that are gonna more than double their fee, or if you have 300 people, I have
Yeah.
no idea.
so,
Yeah, right.
To give you an idea of how many people you're gonna have calling in.
yes, so at 8 mils per
Well,
square
they
foot.
get the vote, that's the main
Okay,
thing.
hold on a second.
They get the vote.
So the 8
She
mils
got
per
her answer, but never did.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 8 mils per square foot. So the lowest that anybody was paying was $62 a year. That's at 8 mils.
Oh, I was gonna say, because I know the average was like 41 per lot.
That was at, so at
At
the
four, at four.
at 4 mils, the lowest was 31, and that was one person. 33 was 10 people.
Okay.
35 was, I think, 12.
So
The
that's 22, 27?
Yeah, and that's out of 578 property owners, not lots. So the majority of the people that, like, if we're looking at the majority, so we have the small lots, or small ones, and we have the big ones. The majority right here in the middle, at 8 mils per square foot, was paying $89 a year. So if we do $100, they're gonna go up by $12. So whenever people are saying, well, there's people that are paying $30 a year, yes, at 4 mils per square foot, but at the 8 mils per square foot, which like I said, the majority of people had no problem paying the 8 mils. And the lowest that people were paying, you're gonna increase by $12. So we've got to look at what the increase is gonna be versus what the bigger lots are gonna be. So the bigger lots,
You're saying if you go to 75, they're gonna go to $12.
no, if they go to $100 a lot, that's gonna get an increase of $12 versus 8 mils per square foot.
Over the 8 meals.
Yes. So the 8 mils per square foot, I think the lowest was
I said 81.
81, oh wait, no, 72, that's what it was. 72, they're gonna go up to $100. So that's the change is 20-something dollars.
I know, and I mean, it's easy for us to say, but we had people that complained that theirs went up $30 a year.
Yeah, well,
That's a complaint that it's gone up.
I mean, you're gonna
And
get
that's
that
Yeah,
raise, it's just
that's
price.
right, yeah.
yeah, so that's why I
So
sat
that's
here.
like $5 going to
Right,
52.
Right.
For 4
Is
days
that
and went
okay?
through every single person, I mean, every person.
Yeah.
We have one person in the neighborhood that has 7 lots. Now, the majority of the people in this neighborhood, 3 lots, 4 lots, 5 lots, 6 lots, 7 lots. There's only 68 homeowners in this neighborhood that has 3 lots or more.
Okay, so are you saying it's gonna be per lot?
Per lot.
Okay.
And so, like I said, if we look at the neighborhood as a whole, so we've got 578 property owners, 926 lots. 68 of those 578 property owners, only 68 of them have 3 or more lots. If I'm looking at it and going, well, 200 of them have 3 or more lots, that's a lot of people. Only 68 people have 3 or more lots. The majority of this neighborhood has 1 or 2 lots.
Okay, so what percent has to, how can those 60, I mean, it's gonna be hard to say because they're spread out. I assume you're still gonna have to do it by section on voting. Is it 50, what percent has to approve?
Okay,
67%?
it is, for section 6, it's 51%.
Right, because that's, there's.
But they're already at $100
Right.
a lot.
No, they're not, they're at 8 mils per
Yeah,
lot.
The-
They're at 8
Right.
So they would only
They're
jump
100.
about 20 bucks.
Yeah, they're at 8 mils. Now, sections 1 through 3, 4, and 5, it's 67%. And I had him double check that, because some people were saying 75, some people were saying 51. The way that works, and this is gonna be the hard part, but we've gotta figure out how to do it. Each section has to come up, it's 67% of square footage, not 67% of each property. So, and I use this as an example, so section 6, there's only 8 houses. So if one person owns 51% of that section, it takes that one person to vote. But looking at the sections, they're pretty equally divided up. The only section that has one owner that has more say is the person that has the 7 lots. But it still doesn't equal out 51%, is what that person doesn't own 51% of
Right,
it.
but for the others, it's gonna be a nightmare, because like you said, I have a lot and a half and they're big lots.
Yeah,
So I actually have a bigger vote than the person in my section that has a small 8,000, because you gotta get 67% of the square footage,
footage.
not 67% of the people.
Well, you
Yeah,
still
it's a
only
square
vote by a lot.
But it's based on how many square
Footage
footage
you
your
have.
lot is. If you have a huge, let's say you had a 2-acre lot and the person next to you had 3/4, I have 2 acres worth of square footage.
Mhm.
They only have 3/4 of an acre, so I have more than twice the vote they do.
yeah.
If you got 2 lots, you
No,
got.
no,
No, this does not go off of your lots.
It's
To
got to go off
change
lots
deed
and-
restrictions, the way that our covenant is written, it goes off of the percentage of property, not how many lots you have. So that's another thing that needs to be
Well,
rewritten in the
let
deed
me ask
restrictions.
the question. If you own 2 lots, you got 2 votes. If you own 1, that's the way it's always been.
Yes, for your board members and stuff like that, but it has not always been like that for the deed restrictions, because it has never been done.
But you still
When
have
have
two,
they been changed?
you
It
still
is
have
never
2
been
votes. It's how much power your vote has. Let's say one of your lots was 1 acre and one was 2 acre. Your 2-acre lot, even though you only voted once, it has twice the voting power as your 1 acre because the deed
Yeah.
restrictions are based on square footage.
So,
It's
I
gonna be,
don't ever remember seeing that, but I'm done too.
no, it's,
Come on, they've never been.
Whenever we
they've
had-
never
it's
you
never
vote.
been tried.
They've
You
never been
voted
trying
by
to
how
vote.
many lots you had.
that is off of,
I think it's still the same way for board position.
yes, it's if you have 7 lots, you have 7 votes.
Right.
That is for a board position. That is for our annual meeting. We have never had a vote to change deed restrictions, ever.
No, okay, I'm
So-
sorry, I apologize.
No,
I'm in totally left field.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
it's
was
for deed
thinking you were
restrictions.
talking about any vote, cause I don't never
No.
remember us, we haven't never voted
yeah.
for a vote.
For this, but it basically evens out. If you have 7 lots and your lots equal 2 acres, you're gonna have more than the person that has 2 lots that only has 1 acre. So it's not 7 votes, but it goes off the percentage of your property. So that's gonna be the hard part whenever we start getting voting in. But that's why we wanna start putting ballots out now, because they will slowly trickle in. It'll give us time to go, okay, this vote is this many square foot, this vote is this many square foot. Instead of saying, okay, we need it back in a month, and we start getting stuff dumped.
Right, because you
Yeah.
gotta figure out each section, how many square feet are in that section, and then everybody turns in a vote, figure out how many square feet, and go market to the people that have the biggest lots.
Yeah.
Because they have the
Well,
most power.
And see, that's the other thing too, is that we have, the square footage per lot already. So once the vote comes in, all we have to do is pull their name and look at their square footage, and we can write it down per section.
Right.
So that takes a little bit of the work off, but it's still gonna be, but that's why we're gonna give it a good year to have everything back in order for us to have it by November of next year.
Okay, so with the billing that goes out in November, whenever it goes out, it's gonna have the ballot, and these will be effective when they bill for 2019 for 2020.
2020. So in November of 2019, whenever we send out, maintenance fees for
Right, for
2020.
2020.
Yes.
So that gives you a year to get the votes, and you get it all, and to
Yeah.
try to get enough people to do it.
Yeah.
As of right now, we can't change anything until 2020 anyway,
Yeah,
because of the way it's written.
but that's why we wanted to, other than maintenance fees, if we have a chance to try to change something in deed restrictions, I'm gonna try and change something else if we have a small mirror of time. So before we jump to the other thing, okay. So for the lots, we kicked around a bunch of ideas. If we did, like your suggestion, whenever we had the executive meeting, the problem with that is that, what we found out this week by Darla, a lot of people are selling their extra lots, but they're splitting it. It's like there's somebody that has 3 lots, he's selling 1.5, 1.5. So these people that have these extra lots, they're getting rid of them right now. So to try to decrease, if you have 5 or more lots, 3 or more lots, it's gonna be a headache for Darla, because these lots are splitting, and they're not selling them as lots, they're selling them as a lot and a half, lot and a half. And so to give somebody that has 7 lots a break after that 5, they're gonna recoup what they paid, because they're gonna sell the lots for $30,000. But these people aren't holding on to their lots. So one, that makes more work for Darla. to have to be able to go, okay, well, we're splitting this lot, and we're splitting this lot, and this lot, and this lot. But the other thing too is that these aren't lots that people have built on. These are lots that they're holding and selling. And again, there's only, I think what we did, I did 4 lots or more, 5 lots or more, and it came down to 12 people. 5 lots or more, it was 8. So to give those 8 people a break I don't think would be considered fair for everybody else in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't think you ought to give break for multiple late.
Well, and that's what that's what we were trying to figure out, how can we do this? But, I mean, there's people that are paying $1,100 a year right now in maintenance fees. So, yes, so that's what people don't understand, is that it's not everybody paying $30, $40. There's people paying $1,100, $1,000, or $1,000 a year in maintenance fees. Now, the other argument I understand is that, well, these people have big lots. Yeah, I understand that. I completely do. But what we're trying to do is take it from this big of a range to try to take it to here. So we don't have a lot of people down here, and we don't have a lot of people up here. We have a lot of people between 2 and 4 lots.
What is the biggest lot that somebody even owns, square footage wise?
That would be section 6.
How big are their lots?
I think they're almost a half acre.
Oh, half an acre? Because
About a half
But
acre lot.
their deed restrictions are so much newer and covered so
Yeah,
much
they're
different that those really aren't the problem. I mean, even though they're gonna go up,
Well, but that's the
oh,
thing.
wait, they probably go down.
no, theirs are gonna go down. I would think.
So there's 7 or 8 houses, I can't remember. 3 of them are going down. The rest of them are going up. So we can't say that, well, theirs are all going down. Only 3 of them are gonna go down.
And
Well,
they're already paying 8.
I thought whenever we wrote deed restrictions for section 6, that we went to $100 a lot for section 6. And if we ever got a chance to change anything, we'd make everything else pretty close to what section 6 is.
My section 6 pays 8 meals.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because
Per square foot.
if it was a, watch, I'm gonna pull this up for you real quick.
Why
If
would
it was
they
a,
pay?
if it was a flat fee, then they wouldn't have an odd, like, this one that lives in section 6 is
Well, is that
$262.
the latest paperwork that we got that they paid last year? Or is that way back yonder?
No, this was printed for me last week, November 1st.
Yeah, they've been 8 meals.
Yeah, because they're paying, like this one in section 6 is paying 262.4. So if it was a flat fee, they would be paying $100. So that's,
Well, if they're paying 8 mil on square footage, they ought to be way more than any of the rest of us.
well, no, but that's, I have an acre, and I'm in section 1.
Mm-hmm.
They have, this one that I'm talking about has a little bit less than an acre. So just because they're in section 6, but see, I have 2 lots, they have 1 lot. So the way that those were sold, they were sold by bigger single lots, versus the rest of the neighborhood are sold by smaller single lots. So they're the same size as me, but they have 1 lot.
One lot.
I have 2.
I had to.
So it's the same size, it's the same square footage, it's just the way the deed restrictions were written was, they have 1 big lot, I have 2 little lots.
It was planted
It was
different.
planted differently, and that was the developer.
And see, so you have 2 lots that total an acre, I have 3 lots that are still less than an acre. So I'll actually be paying more than most everybody else, but I'm okay with that.
But if you go back to your, to the 8 mills, you're gonna be paying less.
Right.
Well, I don't know if you are gonna be paying less, but some people were that way, 8 mills, they're gonna be paying less if they go to lots.
What did you pay at the 8 meals per lot?
I don't remember. I want to say right now we pay like 60 something a lot, and that's at the 4, right? Yeah, that's at 4. So that would be, so the 8 would be 120 per square.
And now you're gonna go, 3 lots, you're gonna go to 300.
Right.
What-
Which
what do you
like I
think
said, I'm
you
okay
can
with
do?
because I think that we pay way too less anyway.
Right, I get that, but
Yeah.
there's gonna be, I mean, there's
We're in the
gonna be a lot
minority.
of people.
There's only 67 other people besides us that are going to be in that.
But that's what I'm saying, so whenever you say there's gonna be a lot of people,
67.
67 people.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you're gonna have more that have 1 lot that are gonna go up $20 and aren't gonna like it, but and I understand that. But, again, if we go to square footage, that changes, because there's gonna be people that live in the neighborhood that never got charged easements, and all of a sudden they're getting charged easements. So it's, okay, is it gonna change? next year, is that board gonna go, okay, well, we're not gonna charge their easements because it's not fair? So it's gonna constantly change. For people that has easements, the people that are gonna sell a half a lot and buy a half a lot, then we've gotta figure out, because the way that their property is gonna come in, it's not gonna be 2 lots, it's gonna be half a lot, so then you've gotta go, okay, that square footage is gonna be awkward. It's trying to get away from the square footage. Nobody does square footage in neighborhoods anymore. And if you're run by a maintenance company, no maintenance company, if they can't change it, does square footage. They try their hardest to change it out of square footage into single, to,
Right, I mean, they'll do it, I mean, they did it for this, but they don't like it. I mean, a maintenance company, they don't have a choice, they have to use square footage.
well, yeah, because it has to be voted on.
Right.
But-
they don't like it.
But what I'm saying is that the majority of them are getting voted in to change it to flat fees.
All right, so
Instead,
900, how many lots?
926 lots.
So times $100 a lot is over $90,000,
It is 90,
and then 8 mills brought it to 80,000.
okay, so 8 mills is 80,000, $100 a lot is 92,000. So that increases maintenance fees a lot, which means we can really start to, well, I'm gonna say we can slowly start to repair and renew the neighborhood.
I mean, you know how I feel about it, because I'm one of the ones that said we're gonna get these maintenance fees increased, because we don't have a choice. I mean, we can't live off of 4 mills.
And I mean, we can. Our neighborhood will not, it will slowly start to go down if we don't have more and more volunteers.
Right.
But even if we go to the 92,000, if we do pass this and we go to 92,000, my issue is that it will start to be spread out. You know, my suggestion would be to budget one thing a year to repair, renew, replace, so that we can start building up a better cushion, so that if something does happen to our boat ramp or our bulkhead or our fishing pier, that we can not worry about it. We can replace it and not worry about, okay, well, we're going to use up all of this money and we don't know how we're going to make it for the next year. Right now, we're doing good. We're not bankrupt, and I want everybody to know that. We're not bankrupt. We're not even as bad as we were whenever the maintenance company ran the neighborhood
Right.
and left us with $1,000. I mean, it was $1,200 that they left us with.
I mean, ideally, you have a
So-
reserve, and then your annual budget, once you decide on a reserve, so like, if you decide $100,000 is a good reserve, then you want to build up that 100,000, and then you'll have your annual budget is what you're taking in, and then you can use that for your all expenses and do some capital expenditures, which is, you know,
Yeah.
what the plan,
That's the way it should be.
that's the way it should be.
And it's, you pay what your necessities are first, then you say, okay, our necessities are this much, this is what we have left over. We want to take a percentage of this and put it off, okay, well, this is what we have for capital expenditures. Instead of building your capital expenditures first, and then try to make everything else fit. We went over a list of what we could do. I mean, and the list is endless, everybody knows that. But the boat ramp needs some TLC. A lot of people use the boat ramp in this neighborhood. The little finger piers, they're not really in that bad of shape. Whenever the water drops, we looked at them, they're not bad. The 4-wheelers that are being driven onto the piers is what's causing a lot of problems.
We got, you know, we had some bids done for like the piers, and they did say, I mean, there's a few boards that need to be replaced, but it
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of major work. But,
Exactly.
I mean, we got bids because we wanted to say, what do we want to do?
Yeah,
I don't know where all those bids are, but
I haven't seen them.
Well, the piers was just been redone about 4 years ago, or 3.
right.
Yeah,
And people ride by there and they see all them rocked out pilings, them don't have nothing to do with
That's
Right,
what
it.
if they didn't take down the old one, they just built a new
They
one
just
over.
built a new
Yeah.
big one over it.
yeah.
And then they did the ones down at the boat slip about the same time. And it ain't been much more than 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just some boards that need to be replaced, and
Yeah,
And
but-
me and Bobby redid the whole boat ramp with the lake was down all the way out to the middle.
but what needs to be redone, like we need more rock to be put in. We need the boards along the bulkhead to be replaced. The bulkhead is not in that bad of shape. It really isn't. I don't know if we can do anything about it, but all the plant life that's growing through the bulkhead, I don't think we can do anything about it. But whenever I walk to the boat ramp, you've got some erosion that's starting between the bulkhead and the ground, which we can backfill that. And so that's what we're needing to do at the boat ramp. Obviously, we want, the teeter-totter was broken in half.
They took, bats down there and.
I mean, they were jumping on, and not the teeter-totter this part, the long ones, that doesn't teeter-totter. They were teeter-tottering it. And I went out there and I yelled at them. It was 2 kids. And me and my kids ran out there, my kids are hauling off the pieces. We couldn't repair that. That was a safety issue, because things had to be welded, tacked, and if it's something bent and snapped on a kid or caught, we had to pull it out. And that's from the kids playing on it. But with increase, we can get security cameras in there. To do wireless, we have about $1,200. But if we didn't increase, then we can put security cameras at the park that we can actually monitor. They'll be put up high enough that unless somebody shoots it with a paintball gun or a .22, you're not going to take it out. The pool is a sore subject at this point because it will not be reopened. Until we are ready to dump another $25,000, $30,000 into that pool, we will not be able to reopen it.
You heard back from the,
Yep. All the electrical has to be redone because of the complaints that were made. Even though it's grandfathered in, you can see it, so it needs to be redone. It was addressed last year that it's kind of settling and it's falling. If you're gonna put any money into that pool house, then it needs to be redone. If you're gonna put that much money into electrical on walls that are falling apart, the walls need to be redone.
Yeah, I mean, the pool house needs to be.
Yeah, so unless I can come to an agreement with the city of Houston, we may not be able to open the pool next year. I'm still working on it. I have not allowed them to come back and do an inspection yet. So
they're saying not the pool electrical around the pool house needs to be all.
yeah, we got everything that was done to the pool, like the electrical that was the original issue. We have everything on that. The city of Houston contacted everybody. They contacted me and I said, here's the contractor who did it. Here's his phone number. We emailed them. They went if I was no longer the middleman, they went between them and the contractor. Everything is good. The electrical on the pool is good. They have no problem. But because they came out, they went into a pump room. So.
And we knew it sucked.
We did.
To put it nicely.
But it was.
That's not a good word for it, it's worse.
Yeah.
But it functioned for what we needed it
Right.
for. It wasn't, and it's not, they didn't deem it a fire hazard, they didn't deem it a safety hazard. They deemed it as it's not up to code. And I'm arguing right now it's grandfathered in. Because what they're doing is they're going around every single one of them, and I have a meeting with Indian Shores Mud on Thursday about their pool. Because they contacted me about the city of Houston. They got their pool. So they're asking me, what are y'all doing, what happened? So I have a meeting with them on Thursday to go over what we're having to do with ours. So, and again, it's not a fire hazard, it's not a safety hazard. It's,
Say it would be $25,000 to rebuild that pool house with that bathroom?
if we have to rebuild everything, yes. If we just have to do the rewiring to where we hire an electrician to come in, pull all the wires out of the pump room, and put all the wires back, we're looking at between 10 to 20,000.
No, boy,
I can't imagine it being.
no.
I have not had contractors come out. So I'm saying, from what my experience is, to pull all the wiring out and to rewire everything, we're looking at 10 to 20,000. I'm going high on that, instead of going low and saying it's 5,000, ends up being 17,000. So,
But
but
we need an accurate figure. I mean, I'm one of these ones that said, I will never use the pool, maybe if I have grandkids, I'll end up using the pool, but I think the pool is an asset. It needs-
absolutely,
Yeah.
I would never say fill it. But I'm saying with the increase of deed restrictions, if this gets approved, the pool is probably not going to be something that we're going to dump money into the first time around. We've got other amenities in this neighborhood that have suffered. We put $39,000 into the pool this year, and it's still getting shut down. So instead of taking $39,000 $10,000, $7,000 and putting it back into the pool again, other amenities needs to be brought up to date and improved before we start putting, so in other words, whenever we start building our capital expenditures, no matter what our maintenance fees are, the pool will not be considered.
I know, but it seems to
Well-
me, we've already put 40,000,
Yeah,
you're gonna let it just go downhill,
Well,
and you
no.
have it so close.
No, I
Why
understand that.
wouldn't you just finish, put the money to make it usable
In
and,
the grand scheme of things versus the
But
40,000
it's-
we've already used.
Yeah.
But like I
Basically,
said,
you're taking, you're wasting 40,000.
I think we need to get a bid on the electrical, if Houston says that they're gonna do that.
that's what again, that's not a definite. I'm going back and forth between them. I'm looking at if we can put, and again, this is just a number, this is not actual figures. If we only have 10,000 in our capital expenditures for next year, because this increase will not happen for next year. So for next year, our capital expenditures are going to be very, very small. Spending all of that on the pool versus spending all of that on the boat ramp, getting it updated, getting the playground equipment fixed at the playground. That's two of our amenities versus one. The pool does not bring in any income at all. Doesn't matter if we made 6,000 this year, you have to offset that from the 41,000 that you spent. So the pool didn't bring in
That, we
any
didn't even
income.
put the anchors in, we got to do that.
We had to pay for the anchors.
Well, that pool's never made money.
So,
Yeah, it's
But
not
that-
gonna make, yeah, it's not gonna make money.
Making money is actually just kind of like a selling point for the neighbor.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think
if you just leave
if
it down for
you're-
1 year,
If you have,
it ain't gonna make them.
well, that's
well,
just
no,
it.
yeah, it could. That pool could go to hell in that 1 year, and there goes all that.
Oh, no,
pool
no, no,
money.
no, no, no. By no means. As long as I'm on this board, that pool will never go downhill. If I can't open that pool, I can still maintain it. The pool, it will still be uncovered in April, and it will still be brought up to make, it's gonna be maintained year round. By no means do I say walk away from the pool and let it start to implode on itself. That's not what I'm saying. But if I can't get the city of Houston to give us a permit, and it comes out to, we have to repair the deck, because the deck, quote, isn't safe now, is what they're saying, but we've got boards to repair it, but we have to go by their guidelines, not ours.
Well, the other thing with the pool is the runners on the deck are bad. When do we redo that, Bobby?
It's been about 6 years, I guess.
But that's what I'm saying.
Replaced all of it.
It's not just the electrical and the pump room, it's the walls of the pump room.
Exactly, so why would we stop halfway through something? And start pinging around all our amenities when we don't have nothing to fix?
But if we don't,
We could end up trying to fix many of them and not have anything ready to go.
The only thing is that if we can't get a permit to open the pool,
why spend the money
you're
on
not
matter
fixing it?
what.
gonna be able to open it because of the city of Houston, that's what she's saying.
Oh, no, I understand
Yeah.
that, but the reason we're not getting the permit is because we don't have that 100%, so why not get it?
Sir, is that Harris County or City of Houston?
City of
Yeah.
Houston,
Really?
we're unincorporated Houston, and they're getting every
You're in
public
the
pool.
ETJ.
They made the
They
change.
got
they
5 miles
gave
around
it
the
away.
city limits.
Do what?
They got 5 miles
That's-
around the city limits.
That's what I'm
So
talking
that's
about.
another reason why any of your repairs are gonna be higher than normal too.
Yeah,
They're gonna have to go to the city of Houston planning,
yep.
and they're gonna have,
Any public pool
everybody's
is
gonna be
big.
licensed, insured, all that.
Well, you're either gonna get people pissed off that we've already dumped so much money in it and it's still not fixed, or you're gonna get people pissed off that everything else is still going to crap and the only thing that everybody's focusing on is the pool.
Again,
Or you're gonna get people pissed off that next year it's not gonna be open and nobody's gonna be able to sell their house for what they want to because they're gonna look at the amenities when they come down with their realtor and see that the pool's not open.
again,
But
so
you're not gonna have much money coming in either. You're gonna
But
be
that's-
tight on budget.
That's
That's
what I'm
the
saying.
Yeah, you're not gonna have
They
money.
have the money
Yeah.
to be able to
Yeah.
fix it.
yeah,
You're gonna be real tight.
because
Well,
if it
what
comes
we
down,
Which is
need
gonna
to
piss
do
more
before we
people
start
off.
talking about all of this, is get us a plan down, decide which way we're going with the new racial, get that out there and find out what the folks feel like they want. If they don't want it, well, then we have to try something different.
Well, this ain't gonna go into effect next year anyway. This won't go into effect for 2020. So next year, we're gonna have to go by what,
I know
Before
that
meals.
this is what I'm telling you, we got to get all that done, but we also need to get out there and see what we can get coming in.
Yeah.
You know, you need to know well, I can spend 20 this
You're gonna
year
get what's coming in.
because they voted it in for 2020 to $100 or 88 bills.
I mean,
Or
ultimately,
whatever.
Yeah, we're
their
assuming
answers
that-
we know is.
We're assuming that the people are gonna,
Right, vote it
Yes.
down, and
no,
that,
they're gonna vote for it. I think it's
And
gonna be a tough
I
battle.
don't think you're gonna get enough people to vote.
Yeah,
Well,
it's gonna be a tough
But
battle.
that's just it, and again, that's why we're starting now, because, you know, come May, June, if we don't have enough, then like you said, I'm gonna start knocking on doors, I'm gonna start hitting Facebook, you know,
Yeah.
but it gives us the time to do that. Okay, so now that we got sidetracked and off topic, are y'all comfortable voting for a proposed raise and increase?
Yes.
yep,
Okay, so the proposal is to raise it to 8 mills, $100 a lot, or $75 a lot. Those are my 3 options that I have, unless somebody else has any other options.
I feel $100 a lot easier to keep track.
Okay, so Troy, you would vote
I
for
think there's only one
$100.
other subdivision that goes by mills in Harris County.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want the $100 a lot as well.
Juan, you vote for 100.
That's what I feel like.
John,
100.
Anita, Nora? Okay.
And that's encompassing people that it'll benefit and people that it will raise. I mean, everybody
Yes.
up here it's gonna be all.
Well, if they're gonna
Yeah.
vote down $100, they're gonna vote down $75.
Yeah, right.
You know, so.
They're gonna vote down any increase. It doesn't matter if it's $10.
Yeah, go for
It's gonna be
They
a
don't-
change,
they don't
and they're not
make
gonna
more
like
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them ain't gonna want to be happy about it,
it. No.
no matter what.
They don't, they say they don't use the amenities, but they don't think about the amenities bringing the value of the house.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Pennington this way, it's $8.10.
And that's just it, we're not saying, okay, every lot's gonna be $550.
Right.
You know, it's a minimal increase. Some people, it's a $30 increase, some people, it's a decrease of $200. But that's people that have 7, 6, 5 lots, and again, that's down to 40 people.
It don't benefit me.
Yeah, but we don't know
I
that.
have
Yeah.
small
We just
lots
guess.
attached to mine, so I have to pay $2.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve proposed increase to maintenance fees that will be put on a ballot at the end of this month and mailed out to all homeowners for $100 per lot?
Motion. Second.
Remember,
All in favor? All opposed? Okay. The other thing that I wanted to add to this, so whenever we do the ballot and the amendment is rewritten, I would like to add that per year, the maintenance fees can only be increased or decreased by $20. So if 2021, the board wants to decrease maintenance fees, they can only decrease it by $20. If they want to increase it, they can only increase it by $20 a lot. So it would be $120 per lot, or it would be $80 per lot.
But you're saying that every year it can be changed?
Every year as the board deems fit, and that's how it is written in the bylaws, is that each year the board, if deems fit, they can go like this, but we need to give a window. So I would suggest $20 to where they can go down to $80 a lot, or they can go up to $120 a lot. And that's just, I'm just using $20 a lot.
You don't have any special assessment
You don't have-
power, so you need to
exactly.
keep that in mind.
I ain't going for it.
If you limit it to $20 and you have something where the whole bulkhead is wiped out by a storm,
Yeah,
then,
That $20, it's
that bulkhead
close to
is real
$20,000.
expensive.
you know what,
In the
people,
grand scheme.
Mhm.
So, and then you also gotta take into account, what if there's a board one year that thinks it should be a lot lower, they drop it $20 one year, following year they drop it another $20, now it's 60. And that's 40 grand.
You know what,
That's the max. So starting at $100, the way that the attorney will write it is that you cannot go, if you want to go down one year to 80, the next year you cannot go down by another 20. Your limit will be $80 or 120 until your deed restrictions are rewritten. So you have a $20 limit each year. You cannot go past 120 and you cannot go under 80.
Where's that,
Basically,
where's
there's-
that in deed restrictions?
No, that's what we're
I don't
proposing.
understand.
here's the way
I
I
don't, I don't,
Yes, you can.
You can't change it unless it's everybody's voting on it.
That's
Again,
right.
Okay, stop. That's what we're talking about, is our proposed ballot that's gonna go to every homeowner.
Right.
That is gonna be on the ballot.
I-
The homeowner is going to have to vote to approve that to change,
Right, I understand that.
okay?
Right.
So
So,
that's just for that one particular time. You can't go back the next year and say this increase another $20. You have to go back to the people and have them vote on it again.
no, in the bylaws, the way it is written is the board can make changes to the deed restrictions each year, set to however it is written. That's why you give wiggle room. The way that the deed restrictions are written right now is you can't go over 4 mils per square foot, but you can go down.
I don't agree with none of it unless the homeowners can vote on it every time.
That's right.
But the problem, you know, I don't agree with that because there's circumstances, like I said, you don't have any provisions, special provisions if you have a catastrophic thing. I don't think what people understand is, just like what happened this year, you vote the board in. If the board votes, and it ought to be justified to increase it, and you don't agree with it, then you come turn out and you vote the new board in. And that they can adjust, lower, raise, or whatever, just like what happened this year. But it would be hard for a neighborhood, and I guarantee you, any neighborhood, you go to most neighborhoods that are current on their restrictions, it gives unlimited power for the board to raise dues every year indiscriminately. And if you don't like it, you move out of the neighborhood or you vote that board out.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
That's the way it should be.
This raising up and down.
It would be
not
like
good.
you having a business and then saying, well, you can have this business, but you know what? You can only do this with it. I mean, the board's elected to do what's best for the subdivision. And that's, you know, I got voted off and I'm trusting y'all to do the best for the subdivision.
Well,
And if I
my
don't see
opinion
it that way, then next year, I'll try to vote
is
against the
the
board.
reason that I don't believe in it is just like it happened this time. They got in there and said, we're gonna raise the dues. All right, they shouldn't have that power. The homeowners got that power, not 8 or 10 people. I don't care who you are, or how good that you think you're doing, or how good they think they're doing. The people has the last say so, and that's the way it should be.
Well, we're gonna have to just agree to disagree.
No, I think the
because,
board should.
Right?
I mean, I don't, you know,
I would have never said nothing if y'all would have asked people to vote, but you didn't. And that's what I got upset about.
I know, and I'm gonna say again, ask 10 people the same question and you're gonna get 10 different answers.
I think the board should have
Ask
the power
attorney,
to
we
do that.
ask an attorney, you ask
Because
an
they're the only
attorney,
ones
we
that
can
know how
ask
much
10
money they
attorneys,
have
we'll get
and
10
knows what
different
needs to
answers.
be done. The homeowners got no clue.
Well, how about they come in the first year they in and decide they want to build a golf course?
Well, you know that's not gonna happen.
well, yeah, you can't do that. That's different than maintenance fees.
Why, what rules you got to stop it?
Well, you know they're not gonna do that.
You have to.
I know.
Common sense, I mean,
You
you
have to
know.
have the property to do it, first of all.
Yeah.
All the property is sold in this
Well,
neighborhood.
it's 100 acres right over here.
Yeah.
That's
What you
not,
think the board
Yeah,
That's the way y'all do it, the way
There's
you
a
want to do
place
it, but that's my
but that's what
opinion.
I'm saying is that Lake Shadow doesn't own that 100 acres, so whenever somebody buys it, they can do whatever they want to it. Lake
Yeah.
Shadows can't do anything.
It's up to a vote,
That's
but
not,
that's just my
Why
opinion.
don't you write it to where you can have a maximum increase a year, and that's it?
that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
is that
and
the
that
maximum of
decrease,
20.
just to get that decrease thing.
20 isn't much.
No,
Well, but no,
well,
no,
to some
if
people
you
it
do
is.
$20 a lot. $20 a lot.
Yeah, some people, that's
That's
a lot of money.
$20,000.
It's close to. it's
Add it
close
on to your
$20,000.
90,000.
Yeah,
So now you're looking
No, you're
at,
not saying the increase is $20,000, but
but if
It's a
you're
pretty,
close to
pretty good
that,
chunk of
that's,
money to
Yeah.
do.
this neighborhood has been running off of $40,000 for the last
Yeah.
1962.
Yeah.
40,000. If we went to $100 a lot and then the following year it went up to 120, we're now looking at a neighborhood that went from $40,000 to $120,000 a year. That's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot.
We cannot add amenities to this neighborhood. We don't have the property to add amenities. So we're looking at doing what we can with amenities that we have.
Right.
Now, unless we start putting, gold pavers on the boat ramp, $110, you're gonna have enough to put off to the side. As long as your 91,000 that you have that year, you don't spend 100% of that in that year. That's where the neighborhood gets into a problem. To where,
Oh, I'm sorry, is this gonna be two separate votes that they can say yes to this and no to this?
it's gonna be one vote for everything.
I think we're gonna lose a lot of people.
I agree.
$100.
I don't think you can get that many to go anyway.
Raise it the following year, right, to 120.
Yeah, they're gonna be raised every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they don't think it's gonna be raised every year, I think that they're gonna to say no because they're immediately gonna think
Think
we're gonna
that's-
raise it to 129.
I think it needs to be two separate votes, and if y'all can do it for
That's
20,
the
I'm just
that's the
saying
only way
that,
I think it works.
that as a business person, and this is, even though y'all aren't paid, it's gotta be run like a business that hands,
Yeah,
tying your hands, but if that's what y'all wanna do, I'm just saying, I would be willing to say,
so we would do,
You'll be one of the rare people,
Yeah.
you already, you know it's gonna be tough.
cause I have my own business, and I know,
Well,
Yeah.
not only that,
I
you
do too, but I don't agree with unlimited power of the board.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, I'm fine with them having a parameter. That's fine with me, because I think, yeah, if you're on the board, you know more about what's going on in the neighborhood than anybody does, most likely. So, yeah, if we need extra little money, I'm fine with that, but not unlimited.
well,
Just-
it's unlimited, it's not unlimited, it is limited because it'll only happen for 1 year, and then you gotta vote those people.
Yeah, but if you expand that parameter to whatever, then they can come in and say, well, it's $1,000 this year.
Well, nobody would pay it, and then
Well-
they'd be,
I can
True,
tell you,
but I mean,
I can tell you this, I don't know where she's been, but I had a place out there at Livingston.
there's a few people here that
And,
are brazen.
I was on the board there, and we was on the fixed like we are here.
Yeah.
Only difference is, we had the word in there where we could go out and do something and then charge the people whatever we wanted to charge them.
No, you had a special assessment.
Right, that's what I
That's a charge
said.
for
that's
a
different.
project,
yeah.
and you could go up on the dues for that project, when the project was
For that
finished,
year.
your dues went back down to where they were.
And we don't have special assessments or deed restrictions right now.
That's, most places have that.
Yeah. Granted, that needs to
Section
be.
6 has special assessment.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do.
just for emergencies.
Well, that's what, I don't have a problem with
And you need
special
that, you
assessment.
need that, 'cause,
I would rather see that than I had see
Yeah.
this.
That's a little better.
Because you have a right then to prove to the
Right.
people, this is why we've got to have $500,000, you know?
you get one good storm, it might wipe out the bulkhead and the boat ramp and everything.
Right.
And that's gonna be very expensive
That's-
to replace.
That's the reason I would rather
Yeah.
have a special
Yeah.
assessment in there.
So, well, no, and I understand that. I don't know enough about special assessments to put that to a vote right now, though. I don't know enough about how to write that in, how to add that in.
Well, the lawyer should know how.
But yeah, but
Well, I can
but
tell
we're,
you-
hold on, but we're trying to get this vote out in November, at the end of this month.
Yeah,
But we won't have another meeting until January to vote that in.
I can tell you how they do.
So that's what I'm saying, is we're trying to get a ballot together to mail out at the
when
end
you,
of
when you
November.
redo the deed restrictions, that ought to be in there.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, that should
But
be
we
in
may
there.
we may not have the deed restrictions ready to renew by 2020, is what I'm saying.
We had some of it, I
You
know.
better have. I mean,
Who's gonna do it?
That's a whole year.
Tell us what we need, we'll start
Who's
working
gonna
on
do
it. Yeah, you can tell me what you need and I'll start doing
A
it.
whole bunch of it's
So,
got.
well, we need to have
Yeah.
the secretary to start off.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the deal. We need to come to an agreement in order to put a ballot together to go out at the end of this month.
A whole bunch of
To
it's got
homeowners, so
computers.
that we can guarantee, we can make an amendment to the deed
There
restrictions
you go.
for 2020. Guaranteed it's ready January 1st. We can't put anything out right now at the end of this month for deed restrictions to guarantee it's ready to put as amendment January 1st, 2020. I'm trying to get a few things together that we can guarantee that will help the neighborhood, change the maintenance fees, and change the time that deed restrictions can be rewritten.
Then why don't you do those two and not worry about the limit, because deed restrictions, if you do them
We
in
have-
2021, will cover that.
But we have to put a limit in the deed restrictions, or a board's going to interpret it as, well, we can raise it when we want to. Per the attorney, you have to put a limit. You can't just say $100 a lot maintenance fees, period. You have to always have an explanation of what it is. You have to give a definition. And because this last set of deed restrictions, the definition, the explanation was so vague, some people took it as you can't raise it, but past the 4 mils per year. You cannot go over 4 mils per year. You can't go to 8.
And some of them are
And
4
some
years
others-
per day, per year.
So again, this attorney is saying, you need to make it very specific. Per his words, there's a lot of people that are willing to file a lawsuit. So his suggestion is, if you're gonna make an amendment to the deed restrictions to be filed in 2020, you make sure that your amendment is very well defined. So that's what he said. Is it gonna be $100 a lot? no changes allowed until deed restrictions are renewed. Is that how, that, we have to have it changed, worded that way. The board does not have the power to change bylaws. The board does not have the power to change deed restrictions year to year. Deed restrictions have to say it's $100 per lot.
You can change bylaws.
Yes, but your deed restrictions supersede your bylaws. Your bylaws are a definition of how your covenant is ran. Your deed restrictions is a definition of what the neighborhood can do. Okay? So in our deed restrictions, we have to have a limit. So I'm fine with leaving it as $100 per lot until deed restrictions are rewritten.
And
I'm fine.
Can we change how often you can rewrite?
That's what I was.
That's what I was gonna say. I would like to change it to every 3 years.
Yeah.
This way, you can change them 3 times in a 10-year period. But it gives enough time for the board to actually look at your deed restrictions. Instead of changing it every single year, you're not looking into what's best for the neighborhood on every aspect, because the deed restrictions are so long. If, no, go ahead.
But in a 3-year period, you have to have a vote of the people.
Anytime you change deed restrictions, you have to have a vote of the people. Any verbiage that is in the deed restrictions has to have a vote. So, okay, so no change, there are gonna be no parameters for the $100 a lot.
No, $100 a lot.
That's voted on by,
It would be 2013, it was whatever it would be over.
which it'll take you that long to rewrite the restrictions.
Where does the 3 years come in at?
That is what we are proposing to change. We're talking about the ballot to send out to the neighborhood to approve to change the deed restrictions.
Change the 10
We want to change the 10
3
years to 3 years. To where the deed restrictions can be rewritten and renewed every 3 years versus every 10 years. Just like we want to propose to change the maintenance fees to $100 per lot instead of 4 mils per square foot.
Every 3 years.
You know how the
Automatically, it's,
you have, the neighborhood has to vote every 3 years. The board has to do what we're doing. Get a proposal together, put a ballot together. Mail it out to everybody and get it voted on. But you can't do that but every 3 years.
Yeah. You can't raise the dues unless you got the vote.
Yeah, you can't do that, but what we're proposing every 3 years versus every 10 years. So it would give a board the time to make the changes. Hopefully by the time we can get the changes made, it will be up to date where not many changes need to be made every 3 years. But 10 years is a very long span. This neighborhood is 10 times bigger than it was in 1962.
the world changes faster than 10 years.
Yes. So to allow the board at that time to propose changes and to get it to the neighborhood and allow it to be changed every 3 years, updated every 3 years.
Voted on.
Hell,
Voted on.
you know,
Yeah, not changed.
May not necessarily
propose
change,
it.
but.
yeah. Okay, so can I get a motion for the ballot for $100 a lot, maintenance fees, with no increase, no decrease for 3 years?
So did the settlement get charged to professionals?
Okay.
That's why some of
For the 10-year period that we have now, I would like to suggest a 3-year change to go on the ballot, to change from 10 years to 3 years. Can I get a motion to change, or does anybody have any other suggestions besides?
If that's what the vote, right?
That's what the ballot is for.
Should you put, instead of putting for 3 years, because people are just gonna say 3 years and just put something until it's gotta be, it's not but you know.
Yeah, but we have to give them a timeline. Deed restrictions can be amended every, like it is right now, can be amended every 10 years. We just want to change it to every 3 years. Or every 2 years, every 7 years.
So does that mean by y'all changing, y'all can change the percentage?
Only if the people vote.
Only if people vote.
No, what I'm saying is you put that in there, and you're going to put percentage of people, so like,
It'll just recategorize.
Yes, okay. So right now, we cannot change that. Whenever we mail these ballots out, that has to stick to 51% for section 6.
why, if you change the rest of it?
We're not changing it, Bobby. We're proposing a change for everybody to
Why,
vote
why
on.
don't you propose a change to that?
Because why don't we do everything else? This is right now. Hopefully by, I had said May of 2019, we will have deed restrictions rewritten that we can now send out a new ballot for everybody to approve deed restrictions to be rewritten as a whole by 2020.
What do you,
I don't know that we can do that right now. I don't know. I want to be able to help the neighborhood improve by increasing maintenance fees, allowing people to vote on it, and changing how often we can do this, but every 10 years.
I'm gonna tell you what I was, I'm gonna tell you what I was told, okay? Because I'm been so much involved in it. I was told that y'all could get all your stuff together and go before a judge, and the judge can throw out all our deed restrictions. And it's all restructured the whole thing.
Yes, that is because our deed restrictions are so old.
Why can't you? do
Because
that?
I want to give the neighborhood a say-so, Bobby. I want the
Well,
neighborhood to
I'm saying
decide.
we still gotta have a say-so.
No, they don't. If we take this to a judge and say, these are written in 1962, we want to change them. He said, yes, you can change them. Then we don't have to do anything with the neighborhood. We bypass the neighborhood, rewrite the deed restrictions because you no longer have deed restrictions to follow. You rewrite them, you give them to a judge files them, and those are your new deed restrictions. You bypass your neighborhood 100%. Bobby, that is correct.
They didn't see anything.
If you can find a judge to do that, because I would think they would say, did you vote? And you go, we voted, we couldn't get people to turn in their votes. You're gonna have to do this anyway, and
So-
that may happen, you
Yeah.
can see all
That's
this out.
that's what I'm saying.
And
We
you
have to
get
go
10
through the
people to
process.
respond, and then you
Once you
go.
vote and show lack of participation, then you can take that. to the
Right,
judge.
you're not gonna go to a judge now, and he's gonna say, you gotta go to the neighborhood
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, right.
So that's the process that you have to do it. We can bypass the neighborhood, go to a judge. It will cost the neighborhood money because you have to have an attorney approach it to the judge for you. Then you have to turn around and rewrite those deed restrictions, but you can bypass the neighborhood.
I'm not saying about this neighborhood.
But that's the process that you're saying to do.
But that
Is to go to a
process
judge, that's the process.
that the
Versus,
board wants to
put the
do.
ballots out. Give it until November of 2019. If we can't get enough votes, not enough yes or no, enough votes, then we go, okay, we tried to do it the right way, the way that the state rules say we have to do it. Then we hire an attorney and we say, okay, we have got, this neighborhood's gonna go down, we have got to change these. We put it out for the vote for the neighborhood would not respond. We go before a judge and we say, we put it for a vote. We allowed 8 months for our neighborhood to vote. We did this, this, and this, and this, and this. So these are the changes that need to be made. The judge then will probably say, yes, rewrite your deed restrictions, you have 3 months to submit them to the court will file them without having another vote. That you can do. I am on the board, I will not vote to bypass the neighborhood and go straight to a judge.
Well, I think you ought to wait until you see what kind of response you get. with
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
And then I think you'll change your mind.
There's a ton of changes that need to be made in the deed restrictions, but there's not enough time to get them prepared and all that for the vote for 2020. So she's trying to just do just enough to get it so you don't have to wait till 2030.
Right.
To get your maintenance fees and then not have to wait 10 years to do it again.
Yeah.
Of course, I think you differ on the 10 years, but that's.
You'll be able to do the deed
Well,
restrictions
don't
in
we
a year.
need to get a
I
crew
think that's-
together and that was all
That's-
here?
Yes, that is
Would
gonna
you
be.
like to be on there? I want to be on there to argue with you.
Oh, what, on deed restrictions?
But that, again, that's gonna be, we need to come up with protocol for deed restrictions, and we need to come up with the amount of people to rewrite the deed restrictions. We already have a template for it. We know the template that we're gonna do. But we've got 6 sections to rewrite. And it would be good to have 2 people per section to help rewrite these 2. So yes, that is another thing that is on my plate, which my list is
Well,
growing
see,
instead of
that'll
getting
take
smaller.
some off of it, because you won't have to worry about it that much. You might have to proofread it.
Well, no, because it takes somebody to organize that. And then you have to have a person organize it and say, okay, we're gonna have a meeting this month to go over it, we're gonna be doing this month. We need somebody to organize it. And I've
I'll
offered,
try.
And it's hard to have multiple, 2 people for each section, because ideally, all the sections would be the same, and that would help people.
Well,
write
them
it down.
two should have a meeting each week or
Yeah,
month.
but you know, I don't wanna be working on section 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, no,
Be somebody
no.
else doing 5,
and
and
that's
that's
how it
totally,
is, is that.
because we have 1, 2, and 3, is 1, 4, 5, and 6, you have 4 documents
But
to
you
read.
need to have
Well,
one.
that group
Well,
provides.
but that's what I'm saying, she said. get
And the
2
template is
per
very,
section,
the
like, you don't
form
want
is very easy.
You get Word.
Take over section 4, and then we'll go to
A Word template?
Yes,
Oh, no, we're talking about just the deed restriction template.
right. Get your word or what's it in?
Oh, no, it's a Word document, but what I'm saying is like, how do you follow it? It's,
Right through there.
yeah, it's not hard.
I wrote training manuals for 10 years, and there's only 2 of us.
Now, yeah, but it's,
So it's not a big deal.
but it's, you know, again, a whole other topic that we wouldn't vote on tonight because it's not on the agenda, we can't vote on it. But it's, do we rewrite all the sections to where you have our 1 deed restrictions for section 1 through 6? Do we keep it to where you have deed restrictions for section 3, 4, 5, and 6?
That's for another meeting.
Exactly. So right now, all I'm trying to find out is to get an approval of the board to say we're gonna send a ballot out in 3 weeks with invoices. On that ballot, it's gonna have one ballot that says, opposed to increased maintenance fees, set it aside, $100 a lot, no increase, no decrease until for them to 23. Not next week, they're like over there. And then on the second one would be to allow, to change the 10-year period to a 3-year period, to where the board can submit to the neighborhood every 3-year changes to like $2,500. Those are the only 2 things that I would like to, so yes, right now, they balance out, yeah, I'm trying to get a yes or no before January. Yeah, we'll continue.
Otherwise, make separate votes.
2 separate, I'm fine with doing 2 separate votes, I'm fine with making 1 vote. So, I mean, I'm making suggestions, so we do a vote for the maintenance fees and every single person, since we have 926.
I would do 2 separate,
Yes,
because if you don't get maintenance fees, maybe you'll get 2013, which is just as
And I went
important.
through every
And
single
one got
one,
one for the $100.
every single one, I figured out.
Okay.
They're $8 per square foot. Can I get a motion for $75? We kicked around some other ideas. Whenever we did 4 mils per square foot, we were invoicing 40,000 a year. It doesn't say we were bringing that in, it was 40,000. And then whenever it was 8 mils per square foot, we were bringing in 80,000. So I did $75 a lot, just to get an idea, and that's 71,000 that would bring in for a year. Okay, all in favor? My issue with that is that's where you take proposed changes per square foot. I don't think anybody had a problem with it, opposed. Okay, people didn't agree with the way it was done. Now, if we were to change, I think changing it going less than what they, like I said, if we can get deed restrictions, that's a great idea.
Did you have
And
it
ballot
written
it
down,
out.
because I know some lots
And
are.
votes in before January 1st, 2020. And I'm gonna double check, because I think we can still do it through 2020, it just has to be changed, it has to be filed before December 31st.
$41. You know,
Yes.
it's like they had the same argument on this discussion, because
Well-
I'm gonna pay that, so I'm like.
Well, so this is what I did, so, because there were people, because like Pat said the last week, had said, you know, she posts the majority of the neighborhood are lots, and, you know, and that's what I checked, and that's why I go up, and these are yes. Any changes in the verbiage of the deed is considered a change that enhances your 10-year period.
Use the park,
Per
or
hour.
the pool, and you
That's
have-
why, and again, that's just how this attorney is.
So
So,
that's the
so-
frustrating part
yeah.
about all this, is another attorney
No,
says,
I'm just saying.
it's everything that says to have these restrictions,
Well-
I would be away, but if they vote to amend them, they can vote, and then vote to amend them, then it would be awesome.
I've never heard of all
Yeah.
that.
So-
Sitting there, I'm like,
well,
The only way you can get a judge to,
yes, well, and that's what
the
8
dean
mils per
will
square
know.
foot.
you get to vote.
Well, and so that's all I said. So that 8 will hire an attorney for the neighborhood, the 8 mils per square foot interpreted. So I'm okay with somebody starting anytime and paying me less than slap in front of me. I'm 100% okay with it. That's it. I'm gonna take that letter and I'm gonna give it to the attorney and say, okay, we have a homeowner that doesn't agree. That was at, that is why it said that 4 mils, the lowest was 31 cents.
Well,
Not always, but that's why he said, whenever you do this, 35 is very clear. Don't make it verbiage, don't make it to where, yeah, and that's out of, you're gonna make it in black and white. He says in 1962, it's correct, not law. He says, so the majority of writing is that, like, if we're looking at, you're gonna, you have this small box, make it for small ones, and we make it very, the majority right here in the middle, he says, at 8 mils per square foot, was paying $89. So that's what I'm gonna go off of. So, and if they go, if we do $100, they're gonna go up by $12, to where it cannot be interpreted. So that, so whenever people are saying,
are
we're
you
gonna
gonna have
pay
him check the
$30 a year.
verbiage before?
Yes, at 4 mils per square foot, but at the 8 mils per square foot, which like I said, no, the majority, I'm not writing this on a ballot, he's gonna know it out. He already knows what my proposal is, he has a copy of this, of all the different square footages, and we've got what the increase is gonna be. I told him about the 10-year and 3-year period, and that's, so the bigger lots,
You're saying you go to 75,
don't have to rewrite it. You know, if they go to $100 a lot, that's gonna get you to an amendment, versus done 18 years for what you're written.
Over the
The way that he is interpreting our deed restrictions. So, but again, that's, so the 8 mils per square foot, I think the lowest was, so his suggestion is get the deed restrictions written as Oh, wait, no, 72, that's what it was. That's 72, they're gonna go up $100.
You're probably gonna have to do them
So
as
that's
four
the-
separate, even if they're
the change
identical,
is
because section
20
4
something.
goes in, and section 5,
I
you're working on
Yeah.
that later, so you wanna dump it, and
Well,
then you're not $30.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's what he said, he said that.
I mean, you're gonna.
And that's right. Yeah, so that's why I sat here, we could rewrite it there, to that section 1 through 6, for days, and went through every single, there's gonna be amendments to each section, because we have one person in the neighborhood that has 7 neighbors, you know, their lots are bigger. Now, you know, there's gonna be a few changes, specific on this neighborhood, 3 lots, 4 lots, 5 lots, 6 lots, and whenever you do that, then you change your homeowners in this neighborhood. That has to do that, but it's a proposed
It
change.
should be
So
that
are
way.
you
And
saying?
you have, and what I'm learning is you want your percentage to be high, you don't want it to be low, you want it to be 75%. So like I said, if we look at the next one, in Texas, so we've got a lot of 5.75% property owners, and we fall in, it's not written. 68, that goes to 578 property owners,
That's like
only
section
68
six.
of them have 3 or more.
Section 6, we spent a
If
lot
I'm
of
looking at one with
time.
200 of them have 3 or more lots, that's a lot of people.
Water board
Only
comes to
68
us and asks
have
us
3 or
to
more
do
lots.
that.
The majority of this neighborhood has
So
1 or
it
2.
pretty well covers
So
about
what
everybody.
percent has
But the
to,
only problem is that
how
we'll put
much
it at a
60,
percentage.
it's gonna be hard to say, because they're spread out.
Which is.
I assume you're still gonna have to do
Well,
that.
That could take 2
On
property
voting.
owners to say no.
Is
I'm
it
just saying,
what
You know,
I'm just saying,
yeah, okay.
that's what we did.
Yeah, it
And you can
is
take
for
that
section
and
6,
make
it's
work what
51%.
you want to,
Right,
and
exactly.
save you a whole lot of one.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a good idea.
that's what it said, that's whenever I said template, they said section 6, take section 6, use that template, you have some changes that you need to make. Now, section 1 through 3,
65
4 and
changes, the
5.
rest of them need
It's,
pages.
yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's
And
template
then
on
try
section
to vote,
6,
you know,
some people
1
are saying
through 3,
75,
try
some
to get
people
them
are
to
saying
vote, get
51.
section 4 to vote.
The way that
section 5 to vote,
works,
6 for the money.
and this is gonna be the hard part,
And then
we've gotta figure out how to do
they're
it.
all identical.
Each section has to be about
But anyway, that would be
67% of
the
square footage,
easiest way to do it.
not
I would
67%
think.
of each.
Put a group and go over
So,
section
and I
6,
use this as
what
an example,
good
for
you
section
keep
6.
and what bad get rid of.
Right, it just.
So if one
You
person,
know.
yeah, 51% of that section, and
It's
that's,
not the
but that's
one-
just it, but you still have to go through sections 1 through 3 and add what the sections are for that section. They're pretty equally divided up. What's particular? The only section that has more that has one owner that has more say is this is your subdivision restrictions 1 through 6, but it still doesn't encompasses all 6 sections with that person. Where the section 1 now.
But for the others, but it is gonna be, another reason you're gonna have problems, because I have a lot and a half and I have big lots.
Yeah.
So I actually have a bigger vote than the person in that section that has a small.
Six of us.
They're supposed to be the same.
It's 67%
People that have to
square
buy.
footage, not
They're all
67%
supposed to
of
be
the
I have read
$1,000
through 1
square
through
feet.
6,
You
yeah.
still only vote by a lot.
But it's based on how many
That's
square
the
footage
good
your lot is. If you have a huge, let's say you had a 2-acre lot, and the person next to
There
you
was
had
at one
3/4.
point whenever
I
there
have
was
2 acres worth
like
of
building
square
protocols
footage,
way
they
back
only
then,
have
before
3/4 of an acre, so I have more than twice the vote they do.
Yeah.
If you got 2 lots, you
No,
got.
no,
No, this does not go off of your lots. To change deed restrictions, the way that our covenant is written, it goes off of the percentage of,
That's fine. I
yeah.
know there's some
They're
differences.
not, like the max, the minimum, that's another thing that has to, that should be
Well,
rewritten.
let me ask you,
I know something's not.
if you
That's
own
what
2 lots,
yeah.
you got
But
2
like the
votes.
building regulations is the
If
same.
you
It's
own
not
one,
the square
that's
footage.
the way
It's
it's
like-
always been.
Yeah, see, for one section is like line numbers and stuff like that, but it has not always been like
Yeah,
that.
that's what.
You know,
I
and,
don't
and
remember none of
But
that.
you still have
We
to,
haven't been changed.
you still have to vote, so what, how much power do you vote now? Let's say,
well, no,
let's
because
say
no,
one lot was 1 acre.
you can change the
one was
minimum
2
now,
acre.
if there's a 900
2
square
acre
foot, you can
lot,
still
you
change the
only
minimum.
voted once, and I got that, it has twice.
Yes,
voted.
because the houses are
About
there.
12 and 15.
I'm going like 900. So,
I don't ever remember
Yeah.
seeing that, but I
but you
mean,
can,
I'm
you
young
can update
too.
it. No, it's,
Whenever we had,
It's
you
never
voted,
been talked about anything
you voted by how many lots, and that's what.
that is off of,
Same as don't change the metal building.
yes, it's, if you have 7 lots, you have 7 votes. That is for a board position. That is for, because we were coming down to, we have never had a vote to change deed restrictions, never.
No, okay,
So-
I apologize,
No.
I'm in totally left field.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were talking about any vote, cause I don't never
No.
remember us, we haven't never voted.
Yeah.
for
For this, but it basically gives out, if you have 7 lots, you know, you have to have 2 person that has 2 lots that only has 1
Okay,
acre. So it's not 7 votes, but it goes on a percentage of your
Because
property.
we have a Christmas
Uh,
party, they haven't been doing.
So
meetings, and I know
that's
last
gonna
year we
be
discussed not doing.
the hard part whenever we start getting voting in. But that's why we want to start putting ballots out now.
The only reason I say that is
It'll
because
give
I
us time to, okay, this vote is this many square foot, this vote is this square foot. Instead of saying, okay, we'll look it back in months, and we start getting stuff done.
because of the Christmas.
Right, because you
Yeah,
gotta figure
but
out
it
each
didn't happen
section, how many
because
square feet
the-
are in that section, and then everybody turns them about, figure out how many square feet,
Yeah.
and go
So-
market to the people that have the biggest lots.
Yeah.
'Cause they have the
Well,
most power.
And see, that's the other thing too, is that, but we have, the square footage per lot already. So once the vote comes in, all you have to do is pull their name and look at their square footage, and we can write it down per section.
Right.
So that takes a little bit of the work off, but it's still gonna be, but that's why we're gonna give it a good year to have everything back in order for us to have it by November of next year.
Okay, so with the building,
Do.
they goes out in November, whenever it goes out. It's gonna have the ballot, and these will be effective when they build for 2019 for 2020.
2020. So in November of 2019, whenever we send out, maintenance fees for 2020, yes.
So that gives you a year to get the votes, and you get it all, and to
Yeah.
try to get enough people to do it.
Yeah.
As of right now, we can't change anything until 2020 anyway,
Yeah,
because of the way it's written.
But that's why we wanted to, other than maintenance fees, if we have a chance to try to change something in the fee restrictions, we're gonna try and change something else if we have a small mirror of time. So so before we jump to the other, okay,
Okay, any other questions?
so for the lots,
That's what it was, it's what a.
we kicked around a bunch of
It's
ideas.
not a lot, it's
Um,
down Polly Road, and, I wanted to know.
If we did, like your suggestion,
It's a lot.
whenever we had the executive meeting, the problem with that is that, what we found out this week by Darla, a lot of people are selling their extra lots, but they're splitting it. It's like there's somebody that has 3 lots, he's selling 1.5, 1.5. So these people that have these extra lots, they're getting rid of them now. So to try to decrease, if you have 5 or more lots, 3 more lots, it's gonna be a headache for Darla, because these lots are splitting,
The new empty lot?
and they're not selling them as one, they're selling them lot and a half, lot and a half. And so to give somebody that has 7 lots a break after
If
that
Bullet
5,
Road's running this way,
they're gonna
is
recoup
it
what
going
they
this
paid,
way, or is it?
because they're gonna sell lots for $100,000.
This way on.
But these people aren't on the side of lots, so one that makes more
They're
worthwhile
But
to have to be able to go through and splitting this lot, and splitting this lot, and this lot, and this lot. The other thing too is that these are lots
We tried
that
to get the
people
flood
have built
control
on.
to clean that
These are
thing
lots that
out.
hold and sell.
They say it's not
And
there.
again, it's completely.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's part of the lot.
Yeah,
I think one did, I did
right, I know what you're
4
talking
lots
about, exactly.
So.
5 lots or more, it came down to 12 people
But is
for
it-
5 lots.
And they've already got dirt over into that
So to
already.
give those 8 people a break, is it,
I
I don't
can't
think
put
it
anything,
is
any kind of
fair
structure on it.
If you
for
put
everybody
it-
else.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Well, and that's, that's what we were trying to figure out, how can we do this.
I'm like.
But, I mean, there's people that are paying $1,100 a year in maintenance fees.
Yeah.
So,
They have.
yes, so that's what people don't understand, is that it's not everybody paying $30, $40. There's people paying,
Right.
$1,100,
And we need to have a gate
or 1,000 a year in maintenance fees.
That's true, I mean, like.
Now,
along Still Point.
the other argument I understand is that police don't have big lots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand
They
that,
can't-
I completely
they
do.
build it.
But what we're trying to do is take it from this bigger range to try to take it to here. So we don't have a lot of people down here, we don't have a lot of people up here. We have a lot of people that do 2 and 4 lots.
That's.
Yeah.
They allow you.
What is a fixed lot, but
I'm understanding it.
square footage?
How
How big are their lots?
This is almost a half acre.
Oh, half an acre?
It's about a half
But
acre lot.
their deed restrictions are so much newer and covered so much different that those really aren't the problem. I mean, people know they're gonna go up.
I think the biggest problem.
Well, but that's the
Oh,
problem.
wait, they price it down.
No, there's a pretty good amount.
So there's 7 or 8 houses here.
You know,
3 of them are going down.
You restrict
The rest of them are going up. So we can't say that, well, theirs are all going down. Only 3 of them are going
Saying is that.
And
The rest of
they're already paying it.
I thought whenever we wrote deed restriction for section 6,
We have to.
that we went to $100 a lot for section
We can
6.
tell you, when
And
advice.
if we ever got a chance to change anything, we'd make everything else pretty close to what section 6
But we
is.
My
can't.
section 6 pays 8 mills.
Yeah, because if it was a,
But we
a if it was a flat fee, then they wouldn't have an automatic, this one that lives in Section 6 is $262.
The latest
It doesn't.
paperwork that we got that they paid last year.
Okay, but are they paying
We'll
for it?
have to wait back
So,
on.
this was printed for me.
So, but that's what I'm saying, is that whenever somebody buys this.
Yeah, because they're paying, like this one in Section 6, they're paying $262. So if it was a flat fee, they would be paying $100.
To get onto that.
So that's,
Now,
Well, they're paying $8 on square footage, they ought to be way more than the rest of those.
well, no, that's, I have an acre, and I'm in
if
Section
it's a
1.
pipeline easement, I cannot put a permit.
They have,
If I
this
just.
one that I'm talking about has a little bit less than an acre. So
It's
just because they're in Section 6,
But
you see, I have 2 lots, they have 1. So the way that those are sold, they were sold by
They
acre
are on their
single
survey.
versus the rest of the acre was sold by smaller. So they're the same size as me, but they have 1 lot, I have 2. So it's the same size, it's the same square footage, it's just the way the deed restrictions were written was, they have 1 big lot, I have 2 little lots.
It was plotted,
It was platted different, and that was developed.
And see, when you have 2 lots, you can't make her have 2 lots that are still less than an acre. So I'll actually be using my promises, but I'm okay with that.
If they.
But if you go back to
Yes.
your, to the 8 mills, you're gonna be paying less.
If that's not,
Well, I don't know if you are gonna be paying less. But some people were that way, 8 mills, they're gonna be paying less if they go to.
What did you pay?
You're right on the
At the
law,
8
it's
mills
on
per
natural
lot.
flow.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember.
But
I
this
wanna
brings
say
it
right now,
on
we
to
do like
the
60
subdivision,
something.
along with
And
the
that's at
whole
the 4.
north
right?
side,
Yeah.
Foley Road.
So that would be, so the 8 would be
And that total
120
takes
per
that
square.
water to that
Now
current.
you're gonna go 3 lots, you're gonna pay 300.
Right.
Is that long?
Which, like I said, I'm okay with, because I think that we pay way too less. anyway.
Right, I get that, but there's
Yeah.
gonna be, I mean,
We're in the minority,
Yeah, people
there's
are-
only 67 other people besides us that are gonna be in that.
But that's what I'm saying, so whenever you say there's gonna be a lot of people,
67.
67 people.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you're gonna have more that have 1 lot that are gonna go up $20 and aren't gonna like it, but and I understand that. But, again, if we go to square footage, that changes, because there's gonna be people that live in the neighborhood that never got charged easements, and all of a sudden they're getting charged easements. You know, so it's, okay, is it gonna change? And next year, is that board gonna go, okay, well, we're not gonna charge their easements, because it's not fair. So it's gonna constantly change.
That's fine.
For people that has easements, the people that are gonna sell a half a lot and buy a half a lot, then we've gotta figure out, because the way that their property is gonna come in, it's not gonna be
Something that we have no.
2 lots, it's gonna be half lots, and then you've gotta go, okay, that square footage is gonna be awkward. It's trying to get away from the square footage. Nobody does square footage in neighborhoods anymore. And if you're run by a maintenance company, no maintenance company, if they can't change it, does square footage. They try their hardest to change it out of square footage into,
right, I mean, they'll do it, and they did it for this, they don't like it.
So,
I mean, the maintenance company, they don't have a choice, they have to do it.
well, yeah, because it has to be voted on. But what I'm saying is that the majority of them are getting voted in to change it to flat fees.
All right, so
Instead,
900, how many lots?
926 lots.
Sometimes $100 a lot is over $9,000.
It is 90,
And then 8 mills, right, at 80,000.
okay, so 8 mills is 80,000, $100 a lot is 92,000. So that increases maintenance fees a lot, which means we can really start to, well, I'm gonna say we can slowly start to repair and renew the neighborhood.
I mean, you know how I feel about it, because I'm one of the ones that said, we're gonna get these maintenance fees increases, we don't have a choice, and we can't live off of someone else.
And I mean, we can, our neighborhood will not, it will slowly start to go down if we don't have more and more volunteers.
Right.
But even if we go to the 92,000, if we do pass this and we go to 92,000,
yes.
my issue is that it will start to be spread out.
Their property line is not.
You know,
I pulled some.
my suggestion would be to budget 1 thing a year to repair, renew, replace, so that we can start building up a better cushion, so that if something does happen to our boat ramp, or our bulkhead, or our fishing pier, that we can not worry about it, we can replace it and not worry about, okay, well, we're gonna use up all of this money and we don't know how we're gonna make it for the next year. Right now, we're doing good. We're not bankrupt, and I want everybody to know that, we're not bankrupt. We're not even as bad as we were whenever the maintenance company ran the neighborhood
Right.
and left us with $1,000. I mean, it was $1,200 that they left us with.
I mean, ideally, you have a
So-
reserve, and then your annual budget, once you decide on a reserve, so like, if you decide $100,000 is a good reserve, then you wanna build up that 100,000, and then you'll have your annual budget is what you're taking in, and then you can use that for your all expenses and do some capital expenditures, which is
Yeah.
what the plan,
That's the way it should be.
And
that's the way it should be.
And it's, you pay what your necessities are first, then you say, okay, our necessities are this much, this is what we have left over. We wanna take a percentage of this and put it off, okay, well, this is what we have for capital expenditures. Instead of building your capital expenditures first, and then try to make everything else fit. We went over a list of what we could do. I mean, and the list is endless, everybody knows that. But the boat ramp needs some TLC. A lot of people use the boat ramp in this neighborhood. The little finger piers, they're not really in that bad of shape. Whenever the water drops, we looked at them, they're not bad. The four-wheelers that are being driven onto the piers is what's causing a lot of problems.
We got, we had some bids done for like the piers, and they did say, I mean, there's a few boards that need to be replaced, but it wasn't a lot of major work. But,
Exactly.
I mean, we got bids, because we wanted to say, what do we want to do?
Yeah,
I don't know where all those bids are, but.
I haven't seen them.
Well, the piers was just been redone about 4 years ago, or 3.
Right.
Yeah,
And people ride by there and they see all them rotted out pilings, them don't have nothing to do with
Right,
it.
if they didn't take down the old one, they just built a new one
They just
over.
built a new
Yeah.
big one over it.
yeah,
And then they did the ones down at the boat slip about the same time. And it ain't been much more than 4 years.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, there's just some boards that need to be replaced, and
yeah.
And
But-
me and Bobby redid the whole boat ramp with the lake was down all the way out to the middle.
But what needs to be redone, like we need more rock to be put in. We need the boards along the bulkhead to be replaced. The bulkhead is not in that bad of shape. It really isn't. I don't know if we can do anything about it, but all the plant life that's growing through the bulkhead, I don't think we can do anything about it. But whenever I walk to the boat ramp, you've got some erosion that's starting between the bulkhead and the ground, which we can backfill that. And so that's what we're needing to do at the boat ramp. Obviously, we want, the teeter-totter was broken in half.
They took bats down there and.
I mean, they were jumping on, and not the teeter-totter this part, the long ways, that doesn't teeter-totter. They were teeter-tottering it. And I went out there and I yelled at them. It was 2 kids. And me and my kids ran out there, my kids are hauling off the pieces. We couldn't repair that.
Oh, no.
That was a safety issue, because things had to be welded, tacked, and if it's something bent and snapped on a kid or caught, we had to pull it out. And that's from the kids playing on it. But with increase, we can get security cameras in there. To do wireless, we only had about $1,200. But if we didn't increase, then we can put security cameras at the park that we can actually monitor. They'll be put up high enough that unless somebody shoots it with a paintball gun or a .22, you're not going to take it out. The pool is a sore subject at this point because it will not be reopened. Until we are ready to dump another $25,000, $30,000 into that pool, we will not be able to reopen it.
You heard back from the,
Yep. All the electrical has to be redone because of the complaints that were made. Even though it's grandfathered in, you can see it, so it needs to be redone. It was addressed last year that it's kind of settling and it's falling. If you're gonna put any money into that pool house, then it needs to be redone. If you're gonna put that much money into electrical on walls that are falling apart, the walls need to be redone.
yeah, I mean, the pool house needs to be.
Yeah, so unless I can come to an agreement with the city of Houston, We may not be able to open the pool next year. I'm still working on it. I have not allowed them to come back and do an inspection yet. So,
So they're saying all, not the pool electrical around the pool house needs to be all.
yeah, we got, everything that was done to the pool, like the electrical, that was the original issue. We have everything on that. The city of Houston contacted everybody. They contacted me and I said, here's the contractor who did it, here's his phone number. We emailed them. They went from, if I was no longer the middleman, they went between them and the contractor. Everything is good. The electrical on the pool is good. They have no problem. But because they came out, they went into a pump room. So,
And we knew it sucked.
we did.
Put it nicely.
But it was,
That's not a good word for it, it's worse.
Yeah,
but it functioned for what we needed it for.
right.
It wasn't, and it's not, they didn't deem it a fire hazard, they didn't deem it a safety hazard. They deemed it as it's not up to code. And I'm arguing right now as it's grandfathered in. Because what they're doing is they're going around every single one of them, and I have a meeting with Indian Shores Mud on Thursday about their pool. Because they contacted me about the city of Houston. They got their pool. So they're asking me, what are y'all doing, what happened? So I have a meeting with them on Thursday to go over what we're having to do with ours. So, and again, it's not a fire hazard, it's not a safety hazard. It's,
Say it would be 25,000 to rebuild that pool house with that bathroom?
if we have to rebuild everything, yes. If we just have to do the rewiring to where we hire an electrician to come in, pull all the wires out of the pump room, and put all the wires back, we're looking at between 10 to 20,000.
No, boy,
I can imagine it.
no.
I have not had contractors come out. So I'm saying, from what my experience is, to pull all the wiring out and to rewire everything, we're looking at 10 to 20,000. I'm going high on that, instead of going low and saying it's 5,000, ends up being 17,000. So,
But
but,
we need an accurate figure. I mean, I'm one of these ones that said, I will never use the pool, maybe if I have grandkids, I'll end up using the pool, but I think the pool is an asset. that needs-
absolutely,
Yeah.
I would never say fill it. But I'm saying with the increase of deed restrictions, if this gets approved, the pool is probably not gonna be something that we're gonna dump money into the first time around. We've got other amenities in this neighborhood that have suffered. We put 39,000 into the pool this year, and it's still getting shut down. So instead of taking 39,000, 10,000, 7,000, and putting it back into the pool again, other amenities needs to be brought up to date and improved before we start putting, so in other words, whenever we start building our capital expenditures, no matter what our maintenance fees are, the pool will not be considered.
I know, but it seems to
Well-
me, we've already put 40,000,
Yeah,
you're gonna let it just go downhill,
Well,
and
no.
you have it so close.
No, I
Why
understand that.
wouldn't you just finish, put the money to make it usable
In the
and,
grand scheme of things versus the
But
40,000
it's-
we've already used.
Yeah.
But like I
Basically,
said,
you're taking, you're wasting 40,000.
I think we need to get a bid on the electrical. If Houston says that they're gonna do that,
that's what again, that's not a definite. I'm going back and forth between them. I'm looking at if we can put, and again, this is just a number, this is not actual figures. If we only have 10,000 in our capital expenditures for next year, because this increase will not happen for next year. So for next year, our capital expenditures are gonna be very, very small. Spending all of that on the pool versus spending all of that on the boat ramp getting it updated, getting the playground equipment fixed at the playground. That's two of our amenities versus one. The pool does not bring in any income at all. Doesn't matter if we made 6,000 this year, you have to offset that from the 41,000 that you spent. So the pool didn't bring in any
That, and they didn't even
income.
put the anchors in, we got to do that.
We had to pay for the anchors.
Well, that pool's never made money.
So,
yeah, it's
But
not
that-
gonna make, yeah, it's
that
not gonna
pool
make money.
Making money is actually just kind of like a selling point for the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly.
And
it's- yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think
if you just leave
if
it down
you're-
for 1 year,
If you have,
it ain't gonna make that much.
well, that's
well,
just
no,
saying.
yeah, it could. That pool could go to hell in that 1 year, and there goes all that.
Oh, no,
pool.
no. By no means. As long as I'm on this board, that pool will never go downhill. If I can't open that pool, I can still maintain it. The pool, it will still be uncovered in April, and it will still be brought up to make, it's gonna be maintained year round. By no means do I say walk away from the pool and let it start to implode on itself. That's not what I'm saying. But if I can't get the city of Houston to give us a permit, and it comes out to, we have to repair the deck, because the deck, quote, isn't safe now, is what they're saying, but we've got courts to repair it, but we have to go by their guidelines, not ours.
Well, the other thing with the pool is the runners on the deck are bad. When did we redo that, Bobby?
It's been about 6 years, I guess.
But that's what I'm saying.
Replaced all of it.
It's not just the electrical and the pump room, it's the walls of the pump room.
So why would we stop halfway through something? And start pinging around all our amenities when we don't have nothing to
If you don't
fix?
But if we don't,
We could end up trying to fix many of them and not have anything ready to go.
The only thing is that if we can't get a permit to open the pool,
why spend the money
you're
on
Don't
not
fixing
matter what.
gonna be able to open it because of the city of Houston, that's what she's saying.
Oh, no, I understand
Yeah.
that. But the reason we're not getting the permit is because we don't have that 100%, so why not get it?
Sir, is that Harris County or City of Houston?
City
Yeah.
of Houston?
Really?
We're unincorporated Houston, and they're getting
You're in
every
the,
public
you're in the
pool.
ETJ.
They made the
They
change
got
today.
5 miles
I
around
know.
the city limits.
Do what?
They got 5 miles
That's-
around the city limits.
That's what I
So
called
that's
it.
another reason why any of your repairs are gonna be higher than normal too.
Yep,
They're gonna have to go to the city of Houston plan,
yep.
and they're gonna have,
Any public pool
everybody's
is
gonna be
big.
licensed, insured, all that.
Well, you're either gonna get people pissed off that we've already dumped so much money in it and it's still not fixed, or you're gonna get people pissed off that everything else is still going to crap and the only thing that everybody's focusing on is the pool.
Again,
Or you're gonna get people pissed off that next year it's not gonna be open and nobody's gonna be able to sell their house for what they want to because they're gonna look at the amenities when they come down with their realtor and see that the pool's not open.
again,
But
so
you're not gonna have much money coming in either. You're gonna
But
be
that's-
tight on budget.
That's
That's
what I'm
it.
saying.
Yeah,
They're
we're not
they
gonna
don't
have
have the
money.
money to be able to
Yeah.
fix it.
yeah,
You're gonna be real tight.
because
Well,
if it
what
comes
we
Which is
down,
just gonna piss
do
more people
before we
off.
start talking about all of this, is get us a plan down, decide which way we're going with the new racial, get that out there and find out what the folks feel like they want. If they don't want it, well, then we have to try something different.
Well, this ain't gonna go into effect next year anyway. This won't go into effect till 2020. So next year, we're gonna have to go by what,
I know
Before
that
meals.
this is what I'm telling you, we got to get all that done, but we also need to get out there and see what we can get coming in.
Yeah.
You know, you need to know, well, I can spend 20 this
you're gonna
year
get what's coming in.
because they voted it in for 2020 to $100 or 88 reals.
I mean,
Or
ultimately,
whatever.
Yeah, we're assuming that-
we know what it's.
We're assuming that the people are gonna,
Right, vote it
Yes.
down, and
no,
that,
they're gonna vote for it. I think it's
And
gonna
it-
be a tough battle.
I don't think you're gonna get enough people to vote.
Yeah,
Well,
it's gonna be a tough
but
battle.
that's just it, and again, that's why we're starting now, because, you know, come May, June, if we don't have enough, then like you said, I'm gonna start knocking on doors, I'm gonna start hitting Facebook,
Yeah.
but it gives us the time to do that. Okay, so now that we got sidetracked and off topic, are y'all comfortable voting for a proposed raise and increase?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, so the proposal is to raise it to 8 mills, $100 a lot, or $75 a lot. Those are my 3 options that I have, unless somebody else has any other options.
I feel $100 a lot easier to keep track.
Okay, so Troy, you would vote
I
for
think there's only one
$100.
other subdivision that goes by mills in Harris County.
Yeah,
And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want the $100 a lot.
Juan, you vote for
$100 a
100.
lot is what I feel like.
John,
100.
Anita, Nora? Okay.
And that's encompassing people that it'll benefit and people that it will raise. I mean, everybody
Yes.
up here, it's gonna be all.
well, if they don't vote down $100, they're gonna vote down $75.
Yeah, right.
You know, so.
They're gonna vote down any increase. It didn't come back from
Yeah, go for
It's gonna be
They
a
don't-
change,
they don't
and they're not
make
gonna like
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and some of them ain't gonna want to be happy about it,
it. No.
no matter what.
They don't, they say they don't use the amenities, but they don't think about the amenities bringing the value of their house.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, paying them this way, it's $8.02.
And that's just it, we're not saying, okay, every lot's gonna be $550.
Right.
You know, it's a minimal increase. Some people, it's a $30 increase, some people, it's a decrease of $200. But that's people that have 7, 6, 5 lots, and yet that's down to 40 people.
don't benefit me.
Yeah, but we don't know
I
that.
had
Yeah.
small
We just
lots
guessing.
attached to mine, so I have to pay 2 lots.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve proposed increase to maintenance fees that will be put on a ballot at the end of this month and mailed out to all homeowners for $100 per lot?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Okay. The other thing that I wanted to add to this, so whenever we do the ballot and the amendment is rewritten, I would like to add that per year, the maintenance fees can only be increased or decreased by $20. So if 2021, the board wants to decrease maintenance fees, they can only decrease it by $20. If they want to increase it, they can only increase it by $20 a lot. So it would be $120 per lot, or it would be $80 per lot.
But you're saying that every year it can be changed?
Every year as the board deems fit, and that's how it is written in the bylaws, is that each year the board, if deems fit, they can go like this, but we need to give a window. So I would suggest $20 to where they can go down to $80 a lot, or they can go up to $120 a lot. And that's just, I'm just using $20.
You don't have any special assessment
You don't have-
power, so you need to
Exactly.
keep that in mind.
I ain't going for it.
If you limit it to $20 and you have something where the whole bulkhead is wiped out by a storm,
Yeah,
then,
That $20,
that bulkhead
close
was
to
real
$20,000.
expensive.
you know what,
In the
people,
grand scheme.
Mhm.
So, and then you also gotta take into account, what if there's a board one year that thinks it should be a lot lower, they drop it $20 one year, following year they drop it another $20, now it's 60. And that's 40 grand.
You know what,
That's the max. So starting at $100, the way that the attorney will write it is that you cannot go, if you want to go down one year to 80, the next year you cannot go down by another 20. Your limit will be $80 or 120 until your deed restrictions are rewritten. So you have a $20 limit each year. You cannot go past 120 and you cannot go under 80.
Where's that,
Basically,
where's
there's-
that in the deed restrictions?
No, that's what we're
I don't
proposing.
understand.
here's the way
I
I
don't-
Yes, you can.
You can't change it unless it's everybody's voted on.
That's
Again,
right.
this- Okay, stop. That's what we're talking about, is our proposed ballot that's gonna go to every homeowner.
Right.
That is gonna be on the ballot.
I-
The homeowner is going to have to vote to approve that to change,
Right, I understand that.
okay?
Right.
So
So,
that's just for that one particular time. You can't go back the next year and say this increases another $20. You have to go back to the people and have them vote on it again.
no, in the bylaws, the way it is written is the board can make changes to the deed restrictions each year, set to however it is written. That's why you give wiggle room. The way that the deed restrictions are written right now is you can't go over 4 mils per square foot, but you can go down.
I don't agree with none of it unless the homeowners can vote on it every time.
That's right.
But the problem, I don't agree with that, because there's circumstances, like I said, you don't have any provisions, special provisions if you have a catastrophic thing. I don't think what people understand is, just like what happened this year, you vote the board in. If the board votes, and it ought to be justified to increase it, and you don't agree with it, then you come turn out and you vote the new board in. And that they can adjust, lower, raise, or whatever, just like what happened this year. But it would be hard for a neighborhood, and I guarantee you, any neighborhood, you go to most neighborhoods that are current on their restrictions, it gives unlimited power for the board to raise dues every year indiscriminately. And if you don't like it, you move out of the neighborhood or you vote that board out.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
That's the way it should be.
This raising up and down.
It would be like you having a business and then saying, well, you can have this business, but you know what? You can only do this with it. I mean, the board's elected to do what's best for the subdivision. And that's, I got voted off and I'm trusting y'all to do the best for the subdivision.
Well,
And if I
my
don't see
opinion
it that way, then next year, I'll try to vote
is
in
the
support.
reason that I don't believe in it is just like it happened this time. They got in there and said, we're gonna raise the dues. They shouldn't have that power. The homeowners got that power, not 8 or 10 people. I don't care who you are or how good that you think you're doing, or how good they think they're doing. The people has the last say so, and that's the way it should be.
Well, we're gonna have to just agree to
No, I think the
disagree.
board should,
Right?
I mean, I don't, you know,
I would have never said nothing if y'all would have asked people to vote, but you didn't. And that's what I got upset about.
I know, and I'm gonna say again, ask 10 people the same question and you're gonna get 10 different answers.
I think the board should have
Ask
the power to
attorney,
do
we
that.
ask an attorney, you ask
Because
an
they're the only
attorney,
ones
you
that
can
know how
ask
much
10
money they
attorneys,
have
we'll get
and
10
knows what
different
needs to
answers.
be done. The homeowners got no clue.
Well, how about they come in the first year they in and decide they want to build a golf course?
Well, you know that's not gonna happen.
Well, yeah, you can't do that, that's different than maintenance fees.
What rules you got to stop it?
Well, you know they're not gonna do that.
You have to.
Common sense, I mean,
You
you
have to
know.
have the property to do it, first of all.
Yeah.
All the property is sold in this
Well,
neighborhood.
it's 100 acres right over here.
Yeah.
That's
Once
not,
I say the board up.
Yeah,
This way, y'all do it the way you want to do it, but that's my
but that's what
opinion.
I'm saying is that Lake Shadow doesn't own that 100 acres, so whenever somebody buys it, they can do whatever they want to it. Lake
Yeah.
Shadows can't do anything.
It's up to a vote,
That's
but
not,
that's just my
Why
opinion.
don't you write it to where you can have a maximum increase a year, and that's it?
that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
is that
and
the
that
maximum of
decrease,
20.
just forget that decrease thing.
20 isn't much.
No,
Well, but
well, to some
if
people
you do
it
$20
is.
a lot. $20 a lot.
Yeah, some people, it's a
That's
lot of money.
$20,000.
It's close to. it's
Add it
close
on to your
$20,000.
90,000.
Yeah,
So now you're looking
No,
at,
I'd say the increase is $20,000, but
but if you're
It's a pretty
looking
good
at
chunk of
that's,
money to
Yeah.
do.
this neighborhood has been running off of $40,000 for the last 1962.
Yeah.
40,000. If we went to $100 a lot and then the following year it went up to 120, we're now looking at a neighborhood that went from $40,000 to $120,000 a year. That's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot.
We cannot add amenities to this neighborhood. We don't have the property to add amenities. So we're looking at doing what we can with amenities that we have.
Right.
Now, unless we start putting, gold pavers on the boat ramp, $110, you're gonna have enough to put off to the side. As long as your 91,000 that you have that year, you don't spend 100% of that in that year. That's where the neighborhood gets into a problem. To where
Oh, I'm sorry, is this gonna be two separate votes that they can say yes to this and no to this?
it's gonna be one vote for everything.
I think we're gonna lose a lot of people.
I agree.
$100.
I don't think
because
you
they're
can get
afraid
that
that
many
you're
to go
gonna
anyway.
raise it the following year, right, to 120.
Yeah, they're gonna be raised every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they don't think it's gonna be raised every year, I think that they're gonna say no, because they're immediately gonna think
Think
we're gonna
that's-
raise it to 120 next.
I think it needs to be two separate votes, and if y'all can do it for 20,
That's
I'm
the
just
only
saying
way
that,
I think it'll work.
that as a business person, and this is, even though y'all aren't paid, it's gotta be run like a business, that hands,
Yeah.
tying your hands, but if that's what y'all wanna do, I'm just saying, I would be willing to say,
So we would do,
You'll be one of the rare people,
Yeah.
you already, you know it's gonna be tough.
cause I have my own business, and I know,
Well,
Yeah.
not only that,
I
you
do, but I don't agree with unlimited power of the board.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, I'm fine with them having a parameter. That's fine with me, because I think, yeah, if you're on the board, you know more about what's going on in the neighborhood than anybody does, most likely. So, yeah, if we need extra little money, I'm fine with that, but not unlimited.
well, it's unlimited, it's not unlimited, it is limited because it'll only happen for 1 year, and then you gotta vote those people.
Yeah, but if you expand that parameter to whatever, then they can come in and say, well, it's $1,000 this year.
Well, nobody would pay it, and then
Well,
they, yeah.
I can
True,
tell-
but I mean,
I can tell you this, I don't know where she's been, but I had a place out there at Livingston.
there's a few people here that are
And,
crazy.
I was on the board there, and we was on the fix like we are here.
Yeah.
Only difference is, we had the word in there where we could go out and do something and then charge the people whatever we wanted to charge them.
No, you had it a special assessment.
Right,
Mhm.
that's
That's
what I
a charge
said.
for
But that's
a
different.
project,
yeah.
and you could go up on the dues for that project, when the project was
For that
finished,
year.
your dues went back down to where they were.
And we don't have special assessments or deed restrictions right now.
That's, most places have that.
Yeah. Granted, that is.
Section 6 says special assessment.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do.
just for emergencies.
Right.
Well, that's what, I don't have a
And
problem
you,
with
and you need
special
that, you
assessment.
need that, cause.
I'd rather see that than I had see
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, that's a little better.
Because you have a right then to prove to the
Right.
people, this is why we've got to have $500,000, you know.
You get one good storm, it might wipe out the bulkhead and the boat ramp and everything.
Right.
And that's gonna be very expensive
That's-
to replace.
That's the reason I would rather
Yeah.
have a special assessment in there.
So, well, no, and I understand that. I don't know enough about special assessments to put that to a vote right now, though. I don't know enough about how to write that in, how to add that in.
Well, the lawyer should know how.
But yeah, but
Well, I can
but
tell
we're,
you-
hold on, but we're trying to get this vote out in November, at the end of this month.
Yeah,
But we won't have another meeting until January to vote that in.
I can tell you how they
So
did.
that's what I'm saying, is we're trying to get a ballot together to mail
well,
out at the
when you,
end of
when you
November.
redo the deed restrictions, that ought to be in there.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, that should
But
be
we
in
may
there.
not we may not have the deed restrictions ready to renew by 2020, is what I'm saying.
We had some of it, I
You
know.
better have. I mean,
Who's gonna do it?
That's a whole year.
Tell us what we need, and we'll start
Who's
working
gonna do
on it. Yeah, you just tell me what you need, and I'll start doing it.
A whole bunch of it's
So,
got to be.
well, we need to
Yeah.
have
We need a secretary to start off.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the deal. We need to come to an agreement in order to put a ballot together to go out at the end of this month
A whole bunch of
to
it's got
homeowners so
computers.
that we can guarantee we can make an amendment to the deed
There you
restrictions
go.
for 2020. Guaranteed it's ready January 1st. We can't put anything out right now at the end of this month for deed restrictions to guarantee it's ready to put as amendment January 1st, 2020. I'm trying to get a few things together that we can guarantee that will help the neighborhood, change the maintenance fees, and change the time that deed restrictions can be rewritten.
Then why don't you do those two and not worry about the limit, because deed restrictions, if you do
We
it in
have-
2021, will cover that.
But we have to put a limit in the deed restrictions, or a board's going to interpret it as, well, we can raise it when we want to. Per the attorney, you have to put a limit. You can't just say $100 a lot maintenance fees, period. You have to always have an explanation of what it is. You have to give a definition. And because this last set of deed restrictions, the definition, the explanation was so vague, some people took it as you can't raise it, but past the 4 mils per year. You cannot go over 4 mils per year. You can't go to 8.
And some of them are
And some
4 years
others-
per day, per year.
So again, this attorney is saying, you need to make it very specific. Per his words, there's a lot of people that are willing to file a lawsuit. So his suggestion is, if you're gonna make an amendment to the deed restrictions to be filed in 2020, you make sure that your amendment is very well defined. So that's what he said. Is it gonna be $100 a lot, no changes allowed until deed restrictions are renewed? Is that how, that, we have to have it worded that way. The board does not have the power to change bylaws. The board does not have the power to change deed restrictions year to year. Deed restrictions have to say is $100 per lot.
You can change bylaws.
Yes, but your deed restrictions supersede your bylaws. Your bylaws are a definition of how your covenant is ran. Your deed restrictions is a definition of what the neighborhood can do.
Right.
Okay? So in our deed restrictions, we have to have a limit. So I'm fine with leaving it as $100 per lot until deed restrictions are rewritten.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And
I'm
how
fine,
often can we change how often we can rewrite?
That's what I was-
That's what I was gonna say. I would like to change it to every 3 years.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna suggest that also.
This way, you can change them 3 times in a 10-year period. But it gives enough time for the board to actually look at your deed restrictions. Instead of changing it every single year, you're not looking into what's best for the neighborhood on every aspect, because the deed restrictions are so long.
But,
If,
I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
but in a 3-year period, you have to have the vote of the people.
Anytime you change deed restrictions, you have to have the vote of the people.
Yeah,
Any
I agree.
verbiage that is in the deed restrictions has to have a vote.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Okay, so no change, there are gonna be no parameters for the $100 a lot.
No, $100 a lot.
Until
Oh.
it's-
That's voted on by,
It would be 2013, was whenever it would be over.
Right.
which it'll take you that long to rewrite the restrictions.
Where does the 3 years come in, that deed restrictions?
That is what we are proposing to change.
'Cause
This,
right
we're
now-
talking about the ballot to send out to the neighborhood to approve to change
Yeah.
the deed restrictions.
Change the 10
We want
year,
to change the 10
3
years to 3 years. To where the deed restrictions can be rewritten and renewed every 3 years versus every 10 years. Just like we want to propose to change the maintenance fees to $100 per lot instead of 4 mils per square foot.
Every 3 years.
No, automatically, it's,
The neighborhood has to vote every 3 years. The board has to do what we're doing. Get a proposal together, put a ballot together.
Yeah.
mail it out to everybody and get it voted on. But you can't do that but every 3 years.
Yeah. You can't raise your dues unless you got the vote.
Yeah,
Just
you
like
can't
we're
do
doing
that, but what we're proposing every 3 years versus every 10 years. So it would give a board the time to make the changes. Hopefully by the time we can get the changes made, they'll be up to date to where not many changes need to be made every 3 years. But 10 years is a very long span. This neighborhood is 10 times bigger than it was in 1962.
The world changes faster than 10 years.
Yes. So to allow the board at that time to propose changes and to get it to the neighborhood and allow it to be changed every 3 years, updated every 3 years.
Voted on.
Hell,
Voted on.
you know.
Yeah, not changed.
May
voted
not
on.
necessarily
propose
change,
it.
but.
Yeah. Okay, so can I get a motion for the ballot for $100 a lot, maintenance fees with no increase, no decrease for 3 years? Okay. For the 10-year period that we have now, I would like to suggest a 3-year change to go on the ballot, to change from 10 years to 3 years. Can I get a motion to change, or does anybody have any other suggestions besides?
But that's what the vote, right?
That's what the ballot is for.
Should you put, instead of putting for 3 years, because people are just gonna say 3 years and just put something until the deeds are amended? Until deed restrictions are amended?
Yeah, but we have to give them a timeline.
Oh, it has to have 3
Deed
years.
restrictions can be amended every, like it is right now, can be amended every 10 years. We just want to change it to every 3 years. Or every 2 years, every 7 years.
So does that mean by y'all changing, y'all can change the percentage that you need to approve it?
Only if the people vote.
Only if the people vote
No,
on
what
it.
I'm saying is you put that in there, and you're gonna have to put in there what percentage of people's going to vote on it to approve it.
Yes,
When you
okay.
vote, change
So
that.
right now, we cannot change that. Whenever we mail these ballots out, that has to stick to 51% for section 6.
Why, if you're changing the rest of it?
We're not changing it, Bobby. We're proposing a change for everybody
Right,
to
why
vote
don't you
on.
propose a change to that?
Because why don't we do everything else? This is right now. Hopefully by, I had said May of 2019, we will have deed restrictions rewritten that we can now send out a new ballot for everybody to approve deed restrictions to be rewritten as a whole by 2020.
What do you,
I don't know that we can do that right now. I don't know. I want to be able to help the neighborhood improve by increasing maintenance fees, allowing people to vote on it, and changing how often we can do this, but every 10 years.
I'm gonna tell you
So-
I want to tell you what I was told, okay? Because I'm been so much involved in this. I was told that y'all could get all your stuff together and go before a judge, and the judge could throw out all our deed restrictions. And let y'all restructure the whole thing.
Yes, that is because our deed restrictions are so old.
Why can't you? do
Because
that?
I want to give the neighborhood a say-so, Bobby. I want the
Well,
neighborhood to
I'm saying
decide.
you still gotta have a say-so.
No, they don't. If we take this to a judge and say, these are written in 1962, we want to change them. He said, yes, you can change them. Then we don't have to do anything with the neighborhood. We bypass the neighborhood, rewrite the deed restrictions because you no longer have deed restrictions to follow. You rewrite them, you give them to a judge files them, and those are your new deed restrictions. You bypass your neighborhood 100%. Bobby, that is
they
correct.
didn't see anything
If you can
else.
find a judge to do that, because I would think they would say, did you vote? And you go, we voted, we couldn't get people to turn in their votes.
That's-
You're gonna have to do this anyway, and
So-
that may happen, you
Yeah.
can sit all
That's
these
just,
out.
that's what I'm saying.
And
We
you
have to
get
go
10
through the
people to
process.
respond, and then you
Once you
go.
vote and show lack of participation, then you can take that.
Right,
to
you're
the
not
judge.
gonna go to a judge now, he's gonna
Yeah,
say, you
you
gotta go
vote.
to the neighborhood
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, right.
So that's the process that you have to do it. We can bypass the neighborhood and go to a judge. It will cost the neighborhood money because you have to have an attorney approach it to the judge for you. Then you have to turn around and rewrite those deed restrictions, but you can bypass the neighborhood.
I'm not saying about this neighborhood.
But that's the process that you're saying to do.
But that
Is to go to a
process
judge, that's the process.
that the board
Versus
wants to
put the
do.
ballots out. Give it until November of 2019. If we can't get enough votes, not enough yes or no, enough votes, then we go, okay, we tried to do it the right way that the state rules say you have to do it. Then we hire an attorney and we say, okay, this neighborhood's gonna go down to, we have got to change these. We put it out for the vote for the neighborhood would not respond. We go before a judge and we say, we put it for a vote. We allowed 8 months for our neighborhood to vote. We did this, this, and this, and this, and this. These are the changes that need to be made. The judge then will probably say, yes, rewrite your deed restrictions. You have 3 months to submit them to the court. The court will file them without having another vote. That you can do. I am on the board. I will not vote to bypass the neighborhood and go straight to a court, to a judge.
I never mentioned anything.
Well, I think you ought to wait until you see what kind of response you get.
Yeah,
That's right.
And then I think you'll change your mind.
There's a ton of changes that need to be made to the deed restrictions, but there's not enough time to get them prepared and all that for the vote for 2020. So she's trying to just do just enough to get it so you don't have to wait till 2030.
Right.
To get your maintenance fees and then not have to wait 10 years to do it again.
Yeah.
Of course, I beg to differ on the 10 years, but that's.
Should be able to do the deed
Well,
restrictions
don't
in
we
a year.
need to get a
I
crew
think that's-
together and have
we
the
should be.
volunteer?
Yes, that is
Would
going
you
to be.
like to be on there? I
On
want
what?
to be on there to argue with you.
Oh, what, on deed restrictions?
But that, again, that's gonna be, we need to come up with protocol for deed restrictions, and we need to come up with the amount of people to rewrite the deed restrictions. We already have a template for it. We know the template that we're gonna do it in. But we've got 6 sections to rewrite, and it would be good to have 2 people per section to help rewrite it. So yes, that is another thing that is on my plate, which my list is
Well, but
growing
see,
instead of
that'll
getting
take
smaller.
some off of it, because you don't have to worry about it that much. You might have to proofread it.
Well, no, because it takes somebody to organize that. And then you have to have a person organize it and say, okay, we're gonna have a meeting this month to go over it, we're gonna be doing this month. We need somebody to organize that.
Okay,
and I
I'll
offer-
try.
And it's hard to have multiple, 2 people for each section, because ideally, all the sections would be the same, and that would help people.
Well,
like
them
me.
two should have a meeting each week
Yeah,
or
that's a good-
month.
Yeah, but you know, I don't wanna be working on section 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, no,
And somebody
no.
else doing 5, and
And
that's
that would be
totally
it, is that,
Because
I
we have
vote,
1, 2, and 3, is
It
1,
honestly,
4,
it would
5,
take
and
3 or 4
6.
months
You
to
have
write.
4
That's it.
documents to
But you need to
rewrite.
have more than 2 people doing it.
A group of
Well,
five.
they got, but that's what I'm saying, she said
And
get
the
2 people
template is
per
very,
section,
the
but
template
you
that
don't
one
want
is very
You
easy.
get
to
Word.
be 2 people working
Sorry?
on
Get
section
Word.
4, and then we go to
Right.
people
A Word
on
template?
section.
yeah,
Oh, no, we're talking about just the deed restriction template.
right. Is it in Word or what's it in?
Oh, no, it's a Word document, but what I'm saying is like,
Okay.
how do you follow it? It's,
It's simple.
yeah, it's not
I
hard, but
wrote,
it's,
I wrote training manuals for 10 years and there's only 2 of us doing it.
yeah, but it's to
So it's
get,
not a big deal.
but it's, you know, again, a whole other topic that we wouldn't vote on tonight because it's not on the agenda, we can't vote on it. But it's, do we rewrite all the sections to where you have 1 deed restrictions for section 1 through 6? Do we keep it to where you have deed restrictions for section 1 through 3,
Well,
4, 5, and 6?
That's for another meeting.
Exactly. So right now, all I'm trying to do is to get an approval of the board to say we're gonna send a ballot out in 3 weeks with invoices. On that ballot, it's gonna have 1 ballot that says, propose to increase maintenance fees, $100 a lot, no increase, no decrease until 2023, not 13. And then on the second one would be to allow, to change the 10-year period to a 3-year period, to where the board can submit to the neighborhood every 3-year changes to the deed restrictions. Those are the only 2 things that I would like to, yes, right now we can put ballots out and try to get a yes or no before January
Yeah, I
1st.
agree.
We'll continue to work
Otherwise,
on
it's
it.
information
Two separate
overload.
votes, or one.
2 separate, I'm fine with doing 2 separate votes, I'm fine with doing 1 vote. I mean, I'm open to suggestions. So do we do a vote for the maintenance fees and a vote for the 10-year to 3-year period, or do we do it this way?
I would do 2 separate, because
I would
even if you
do
don't
too.
get maintenance fees, maybe you'll get the 2013, which is just as important.
Yep.
We've already got the one for the $100, now we need,
Okay,
for the 3 years.
okay, so can I get a motion?
A motion to approve sending out the ballots for increase of the dues to 100 and to change the restriction in 3 years. To be able to propose changes to the deed restriction.
Okay.
Second.
I just said, your name down is Juana. Okay, all in favor for the 2 proposed changes? All opposed? Okay, all right. Now, I I'm sorry, I'm getting so red in the face right now. Like I said, if we can get deed restrictions rewritten and a ballot put out and votes in before January 1st, 2020, and I'm gonna double check, because I think we can still do it through 2020, it just has to be changed, it has to be filed before December 31st, 2020.
You know, it's like we always have this same argument on this discussion, because the deed restrictions say in 2020 or every 10 years, it can be voted to do away with them. It does not say amend them, which means
And that's what I checked, and that's why I checked, and he says, yes, any changes in the verbiage of the deed restrictions is considered a change that encompasses your 10-year period per our covenant. That's why, and again, that's just how this attorney is
I know,
interpreting.
that's the
So-
frustrating part
Yeah.
about all this, is another attorney says, well, in every 10 years, they can do away with deed restrictions, they can do away, but if they vote to amend them, they can vote to amend them in any year, which would be awesome.
I've
Because
never
then
heard
you
a
take
lawyer
another-
even say nothing like that.
Well, but-
The only way you're gonna know is to get a judge to tell you.
Well, and that's,
Then you'll know what you got.
well, and so that's why, you know, the board hired an attorney for the neighborhood. That's how he interpreted it. I'm okay for somebody to hire an attorney and give me a letter and slap it in front of me. I'm 100% okay with it. I'm gonna take that letter and I'm gonna give it to the attorney and say, okay, we have a homeowner that doesn't agree, can you explain it?
Well,
That is why
you
he
got
had
an
said.
attorney, you gotta do with what he suggests, what he
Not
says.
always,
Well,
not always, but that's why he had said, whenever you do this amendment, make it very clear. Don't make the verbiage vague. Don't make it to where, he says, you're gonna make it in black and white. He says, in 1962, it's gray. He says, it's just like the writing is, it's gray. He says, if you're gonna make any amendment, make it black and white. Make it very easy to understand. He says, you know, this is his suggestion. So that's what I'm gonna go off of. And make it as black and white as possible, to where it cannot be interpreted any, you know.
are you gonna have him check the verbiage before you put him on ballots?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm not writing this on a ballot and gonna mail it out. He already knows what my proposed is. He has a copy of this, of all the different square footages and this and that, so he has a copy of this. I told him about the 10-year to 3-year period, and that's whenever he had said that we can do an amendment to that. We don't have to rewrite deed restrictions. But he says that in order to do an amendment, it has to be done every 10 years per what you're written. The way that he is interpreting on deed restrictions, he says, but again, your deed restrictions are vague.
Yeah.
He says, so his suggestion is get the deed restrictions written as soon as possible. And we want, that's the choice.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to do them as 4 separate, even if they're identical, because section 4 could vote them in, and section 5, you're working on them 3 years later. So you wanna, don't try to make it where they all, the whole neighborhood
Well,
has to agree.
That's what he had said. He said that if whenever we rewrite the deed restrictions, whenever we do it, we can rewrite in there to have section 1 through 6 have the same deed restrictions. There's going to be amendments to each section because, like section 6, their lots are bigger. You know, there's going to be a few changes. He says, but you can rewrite 1 through 6 all together. And whenever you do that, then you change your percentage. You can do that, but it's a proposed change.
It should be that way.
And what I'm learning is you want your percentage to be high. You don't want it to be low. You want it to be 75%. He said that's why the state of Texas changed a lot of them to 75%. Unfortunately, we fall in where it's not written. So we fall back to 67.
See, that's like section 6. Section 6, we spent a lot of time writing that for the water board. The water board come to us and asked us to do that. And so it pretty well covers about everything.
But the only problem is that y'all put it at a percentage of 51%, which isn't a good idea. Because
Well,
that could take 2 property owners to say no.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that that's what we did.
Yeah.
And you could take that and make work what you want to and save you a whole lot of.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a good idea.
That's what he had said. That's whenever I said template,
Yeah.
he had said section 6 isn't perfect. Take section 6, use that template, you have some changes that you need to make.
6 needs minor changes, the rest of them need major changes.
Yeah, but to
Yeah.
And
template
then
on
try to
section
vote,
6.
you know, 1 through 3, try to get them to vote, get section 4 to vote, section 5 to vote, 6 for the minor changes, and then you can combine them because they're all identical.
They're all identical. Yes.
But anyway, that would be the easiest way to do it, I would think, is get a group to go over section 6 and what's good, keep, and what's bad, get rid of.
Right, it just needs money.
You know.
Yeah,
It's pretty,
but-
it's good, it just.
And
It's
that's,
something to
but
work
that's
with.
just it, but you still have to go through sections 1 through 3 and see what is particular for that section, because you
Right.
have to include that. What's particular for section 4, 5, and make sure that your one set of deed restrictions, you know, this is your set of deed restrictions, 1 through 6, that it encompasses all 6 sections, to where sections 1 now, not that it would
But another-
actually be it, but.
Yeah, another reason you're gonna have problems, because I don't know all the sections, because I haven't been here, but there's one that allows different buildings than it does.
No, it don't either.
No, all 6 of them are the same.
They're supposed to be the same, so people let that get by.
Read,
They're all supposed to be
I have read through
1,000
1
square
through
feet.
6.
I read them, but it's been a long time ago, so.
1 through, that, the deed restrictions, 1 through 6, billing is all the same. There was at one point, whenever there was like building protocols way back when, before section 6 was here, they were different for each sections, but that was not deed restrictions. The deed restrictions for building for sections 1 through 6 are the same. The square footage is different per section.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I know there's some
There's-
differences.
Like the max, the
Okay.
the minimum square footage for each section is different.
Okay, I was gonna say, I know something's not identical.
That's what it is, yeah.
That's what.
But like the building regulations is the same, it's
Right.
just, it's the square footage, but it's like, I think one section is like 900 square feet. That's the minimum.
Yeah, that's what.
You know,
I
and-
don't remember none of that.
It's in,
It's in the deed
It's in the deed
restrictions.
restrictions.
So that's why it would be
I thought
hard
each
to
one
change
had-
them into one.
well, no, because you can change the minimum now. If there's a 900 square foot house, you can still change it to a minimum of,
Oh, make the whole neighborhood a minimum of 12.
yes, because that house is already there.
12 and 15, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm throwing out 900, but I know that they
Yeah,
changed.
so I'm thinking like 12 and 15.
Yeah, but you can
They
update
are,
it.
but
I was
they-
gonna say, I know I'm not
Yeah.
that crazy. Okay, I have a quick question, I know you didn't wanna talk about anything else, I'm just wondering, did your
I know that's what I'm
Attorney?
talking about.
We're talking
say that
about
y'all
houses.
could change the metal building thing, or is that, did he ever answer?
I haven't, I sent him an email and we just haven't,
Okay. I was just
because we
curious.
were coming down to this deadline for November so quick.
Yeah,
2 weeks in the hospital with meningitis put me in a hole, and then 3 weeks of recovery put me in a big hole, so that I haven't dealt with building regulations yet.
So y'all talking about living area, square footage in the houses,
Yeah,
not buildings.
no, yeah, the houses, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Why are we not having a meeting in December?
okay, so for years, because we have a Christmas party, they haven't been doing meetings. And I know last year it was discussed not doing a December meeting. Last year,
I've slept since then, I couldn't tell you.
and the only reason I say that is because I had to read through the emails to put it in my little book right here, all the emails, and it was brought up last December not to do a meeting because of the Christmas party.
Okay,
But it didn't have a meeting because the community center ended up closing.
We didn't know it yet.
Yeah, so we need to decide if we're gonna do, we don't have to decide it right now, but we're, you know, having,
kind of do since this is the only meeting before December, right?
yeah, but we can't vote on it. It's not the agenda.
So we'll have to call a special meeting if we're gonna vote on it, right, or no?
No, we don't have to have a meeting every month. It's not written in our covenant to have a meeting every month.
Okay.
So, no, we don't have to. We do, but it's never, they've never had, last Christmas was the first time that they called a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, but looking at the minutes, every year they have had a December meeting because of the Christmas party. So, and we'll get with you and you just have to decide what you want to do for the Christmas party.
Christmas party was always the third week,
Okay.
when the meeting was, so.
Oh, okay.
So, and then a lot of people didn't show up because they were on vacation.
Kelly Cuban says she still wants to help with the Christmas parties.
Awesome. Well, then you don't need any help because she's all the help you need.
Yeah, probably.
So, okay, any other questions?
I got something,
Yes, sir.
different matter. Our last water board meeting, it was brought up to our attention that y'all have a lot that's been cleared down on Foley Road. And, I wanted to make you aware of that there is a 10-foot easement on one side of that lot. And, you know, need to be careful not to let them don't give them no approval for it to fence it in or whatever. It doesn't belong to the property owner, and a lot of times they fence that easement in, and that easement can't be fenced in. A lot of that flood water and stuff goes back there, they have to have access back there.
Okay.
So I just wanna make y'all aware
Yeah,
of
I
that.
had to.
They're supposed to leave a swag.
Is that the new one?
Yeah.
The new empty lot? Okay.
That's the one
I just
that,
want to make y'all aware, don't approve anything, you know, for fencing it
yeah.
or building on it or
Is
anything
it-
like that.
If Bowling Road's running this way, is it easement going this way, or is it easement parallel?
This way.
It's going this way on the side.
Oh, it's going on one
Yeah.
side, okay, what kind of
They
easement?
cleared it all off, but,
Who's ditch is that, is that Harris County flood?
I think we're in the process of determining who owns it.
We tried to get the flood control to go clean that thing out, but
Yeah.
they say it's not
This is
there.
the easement, it's just
Yeah, I know
part
what
of-
you're talking about,
It's
right?
part of the lot.
Yeah.
And they cleared it off.
Right, I know what you're talking about, exactly.
So, but we don't want to, you know, the water board doesn't
But
want
is
to.
it,
And they've already got dirt over into that already.
is it that you can't build a fence, or is if you
I can't put anything, any kind of structure on it.
if you put a fence,
They'll
we
tear it
can
down.
take it down?
No, you
if we
don't want
need
the
to.
fence up there because you don't want nothing to hold the flood.
No, I understand, but I'm like in other subdivisions, you know, I have to put my electrical in the easement,
Yeah,
and they have fences, but
Mhm.
what it is that the utility company ever needs to come in there and get on the easement,
They
they
tear
can
it
take
down.
the fence off.
right.
Yeah, but this is flood
So you
control.
need to have a gate or somewhere you can get access.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like along Still Point here, all the people on the other side over there, they own all the easement. They can't build on it, but they've been letting fence it in.
That's what I'm
Down
saying.
here, we don't want to fence it in or nothing. We want-
Because it's a flood control.
Mhm.
It's a flood, it's a drainage issue, not
Yeah,
a,
I understand we don't want to, but are they allowed to?
That's what I was getting at.
Are they allowed to?
The water board doesn't want them to do it.
I understand you don't want them to, but I mean, I can't tell them to do
I guess what I'm
something.
asking y'all, if you've got somebody that wants to build on it,
Yeah.
at least come to the water board and let us, all discuss it and see what, you know, what our options are, you don't mind.
But that drains out.
Okay, but
we can do that.
I need to know what, I'll look and see what they're allowed to do, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's their property.
The easement's not theirs.
No, it's not.
So if they don't own the easement, then I don't see
You
no
own
issue.
the
You
easement,
own the easement, you
Yes.
just can only, you're restricted on how you can use it, but
you
so.
can put something on it, but they gonna tear
Yeah,
it
No,
down.
that's what he's saying, is that we can't, for any easement, whether it's a drainage easement or an electrical easement or a pipeline easement, we as a neighborhood can't tell you, you cannot put a fence on that.
Yeah.
We can tell you and advise you, you should not, because if the Harris County Flood Control comes in, they will rip your fence out.
Right.
But we
I
cannot
just don't want them
say,
to come back and say, y'all approved it, okay? As long as you don't approve it, we're good, you know?
but we.
No, I can't not approve
Not
something,
yet.
not approve something
Yeah.
that they
You
are
just
allowed
need
to
to
do.
put a disclaimer that it's an
Yeah,
easement.
I'll never let them know what
If
it
it's
is,
a
and I already
easement, it
did.
belongs to the water board or it belongs to the county. It doesn't belong to anybody else, that's for drainage purposes.
Okay, but are
You
they
can't-
paying
you
for
can't
it?
put- you
Well,
can't
that
put
makes-
That doesn't make
I don't
sense.
know, I'm just saying what was
So,
told.
but that's what I'm saying, is that whenever somebody buys a
Do
piece
you
of
know
property
what
and it
number
has
the
an
lobby
easement,
is,
they're paying
Bobby?
for that
I
property.
do.
They don't own, they
Right
own
where
the
it is.
right of way. You have to be asked to get onto that property. Now, the county doesn't have to ask. You are aware that, yes, this is my property. I have an easement right here.
It's right across.
If it's
the
a
new
pipeline
subdivision.
easement, I cannot put a permanent structure.
Yeah.
If I do,
No,
they will
this-
tear it
This one
down.
goes this way.
Oh,
If
this
the
one-
dr-
this one-
If they have to access
Down
it.
here.
But as a
But
neighborhood,
this is an easement, I don't know what they live on, okay?
Goes to the lake. over
but if
there.
it's,
I think they're
if
really
it's
not
on
sure.
their survey, and it's part of their
I don't
property,
know, we're in the process of finding out.
Should
I just said I
keep
don't
that
want
dug
to
out.
approve it
We got their
before we
survey.
have
That's
to
what
do
we tried to do
something.
last year.
We got the
That's
survey.
and I was trying to give the flood control, so it's not there. So, yeah, that's the flood easement, that doesn't
They've got
fall
the
under
survey.
an easement like a utility, it's different.
Right.
It's
Well,
just like a
but-
pipeline, you can't
but
put a,
if
you
they have
can't
the
put a fence on a
survey,
pipeline either.
yes, you can.
If they tell you not, you can't.
Here's the deal, because it was
You
on my
can.
property.
Huh?
You can,
But they'll come, if they ever need
Well-
access, they'll take it down.
yes,
Yeah,
or they will
But
ask
they
you
won't
to
just
take
tear
it
it
down.
down.
But if
Unless
I'm
they-
not wrong, the law states that you cannot dam a natural flow.
Well, it's not a natural, it's not a natural
Look
flow.
up.
You're right on the law, but it's not a natural flow.
Oh, it ain't?
No.
Okay.
But this drains that pond over in the other subdivision, along with the whole north side of Foley Road. There's a culvert over there, and that culvert takes that water to that drainage ditch.
There's here. Okay, so according to their
Well,
property,
is that wrong?
the drainage
No.
easement runs 2 feet through, from the middle of their property, they can put a fence around that. It doesn't run on the side of their property. It runs almost in the middle of their property.
Right where their house
So,
No, it runs on the side.
drainage easement,
It's
right
on the
here.
side.
Here's
Oh,
their
it's
property.
right on the side of the property.
Here's their property line.
That's right,
Here's the drainage easement.
that's right.
So if they
Now,
want
it's
to put a
in here.
fence right here,
It
they
says,
can.
it says what, 10-foot drainage easement,
15, yes.
15 foot,
But
okay?
what they're saying is that they want to fence their yard.
Mm-hmm.
We can't tell them, no, they can't put a fence right here.
Well, you're gonna flood some people, they're gonna talk to you about it.
But
That's fine, we're not concerned about that, just don't approve it and let our attorney deal with them not being able to put it, but y'all approve it.
we can't deny them something that we have no
But you can
control.
approve something that that we're asking you not to approve.
Yeah, you're gonna get in
Why,
trouble.
why is that? No, hold on, why is that?
The water board is asking you because it is a drainage easement, and we're asking you not to let them fence it in.
You understand these people bought a property, paid for their application, they're waiting for this.
But they don't own the easement, they don't own the
No,
easement.
but the easement runs in the middle of their property,
There's a drainage
Bobby.
easement that runs, what is that,
So,
side street over there,
Here's
Steel
their
Point?
property,
It runs all the
Front of
way
the
down
road.
that street.
in front of the road.
Well, what's
The
that
drainage
street, what's
easement
that
runs
street
here,
back
the
there?
property
Right
goes
off?
from here
Right over here.
to
No,
here.
the one
So
that's-
you're telling me
that
for
way.
15 feet,
Close
I
one
have
that
to
way.
deny them any fence around the property?
Skinner Way. All
No,
those,
we
all those
can't, as an
people on
HOA.
Skinner Way
That's fine, go
have
ahead.
an easement.
Go ahead,
And that's
I'll
not
turn
drained
it
in.
That's
Oh,
fine,
you're talking
we cannot deny it, we
Yeah,
can,
but
we can
that-
approve a fence.
Move the trees in.
And we can tell them, this, you're going to have to go to the water board, and you're going to have to talk to their attorney in regards to a fence that crosses over the
Okay, that's fine,
drainage.
that's what I asked. That's all I'm asking.
But we
Let
can
the attorney
approve
do
it, but we can approve it and put notes in there that saying we are approving it.
That's what he wants you
But
to
we
do,
cannot-
that's all he wants you to do, is put a note in there that says.
Well, he's saying, but he, no,
But
he
I'm
told us
not
not to.
gonna not approve
There's
it.
a difference
I don't
between,
want y'all to approve it the next time before us and fight us over because to simply, agree to let them put a fence on.
We can't legally not approve it though.
It is a flood control easement. It's not like he's going to easements in
All
here.
that property on the backside of Skimmer Way,
Yeah.
what is that, a 15-foot easement back there?
yes,
That goes the whole length of Skimmer Way, and you cannot put anything on it.
Right.
but their property line is not
Yes, it
closed.
does, yes, it does.
I pulled somebody's back there, it was an old lady that's on the end, it's, whatever road
Because
goes this way, and this way.
Lisa's property, she's paying for that easement. That's what she was fussing
Let me
about.
ask y'all something. Can y'all at least tell the people that y'all need, they need to come before the water board before that can be approved to fence it in?
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
All right, what I'm asking, is y'all have a lawyer on town.
Yes.
He's at every meeting. Have y'all discussed this with him?
Yes, that's what we discussed this last meeting.
What he said?
He says it's an easement, that you're not allowed to fence that in, that has to be stayed open. But I want to get it all clarified before y'all tell them it's okay to do it. Let them come before the water board and say, look, I want to put a fence around this easement, can I do that? And that lawyer will tell you yes or no, or he'll say, I'll investigate it. And then y'all can go and prove it. But don't let them put it on there right now.
Okay,
You're talking about the fence.
The fence, or whatever, can't put nothing on that easement.
no,
Yeah, they do it
Clear
clear.
it right now.
yeah, but they're waiting for
They're
approval
waiting
from the
on their-
house.
Water's a whole lot
So,
different than
We
electricity.
can't,
Yeah.
we can't
Water's
wait.
gotta be out of that.
After 30 days, they can do whatever they want to. They've already turned it
I
over.
don't, we gotta get something going on a lot faster. I have 30 days to give this back to them.
Okay.
I would give it back to them because we're not approving a fence, we're approving a house. And in that house, it does not say that they're fencing it. Because if they're
Just
doing
tell
a
them that we're
fence,
having problems with,
we
I'll
don't
just
need
tell
to.
them they can't fence it until they,
They
That's
submit
what
their
I That's
application.
all I ask.
Are they asking?
No, they're not, that's what I'm saying, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
It's
They're
not
not
an issue,
asking for, okay, but we have to approve that.
yeah.
They're not asking for a fence and that approval, so we have no issues. We don't even need to tell them, you can't fence it, because they're not asking for a fence.
They're just asking.
We can approve that.
All I'm
They
saying
have-
is, if they do ask for a fence, would you please ask them if they need to present that to the water board
If
first?
this board is still here, absolutely.
Okay.
If we remember, absolutely.
There's no remembering, I'm telling you. He can put it in his notes, Sarah. I mean, it's as simple as
Can I
that.
get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
I mean, you're going off, but it's not.
I'm not going
it's
off,
law.
Bobby. You're not listening.
You're not listening. I'm saying you can put nothing on it.
Maybe one or one eye.
Can we get a second to adjourn the meeting? Okay, all in
yeah,
favor?
but we ain't saying
Anita
include
made a
it.
motion.
Right,
come before us,
Right,
before they put a fence.
that's right.
And we gonna tell them we was told by the water board.
There you go, that's all I'm gonna say.
That's what we were saying, it's not even an issue right now, they're not asking for a
That's what we're
fence.
talking about.
And that,
Oh, my gosh.
You hard-headed as I am.
I'm not hard-headed, I'm just doing what I was asked to do. I was asked to tell y'all
But we
about it.
can do that.
Over this?
I didn't mean
And
to
we
search
hope
it
they
up.
check that before they bought that property.
Later. Hey, you take care, will